flicker like broken halos. Whispers gather in the smoke-filled air. Tables carved with secrets and shadows. Every story's a wound laid bare. The kettle's boiling with restless rage. Justice written on an unseen page. I sip the silence, bitter taste, waiting for the ghosts to show their face. At the True Crime Cafe, we serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betrayed. Mirrors cracked, reflections are liars. Ashes fall where the guilty once stood. The jukebox hums like a funeral choir. Echoes pounding through the neighborhood. Every scar is a candlelit vow. We hunt the how, we demand the now. No more silence, no more disguise. We'll paint the night with sharpened cry. At the True Crime Cafe, we serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betray. This is not a sermon, it's a battlefield hymn, a requiem dripping from the bottle's rim. The guilty write stories in invisible ink, but we'll drag it all up from the edge of the brave. At the True Crime Cafe, the reckoning burns like a black bouquet. Every shadow will pay. In the True Crime Cafe.
All right. Welcome back to the cafe. We are open for business. Got a great show lined up today. Like I said, thank you all for joining us. Come on in, grab a seat, make sure your cup is full. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to whoever you are, wherever you are. Hope you're having a great day. It's great to be here with you. As I said, a great show lined up. Lee from Devil's Advocate's going to join us today. I'm going to say this once and once only. Everybody's entitled to their opinions, their thoughts, their feelings. But in my community, right here on this platform, you do not, will not, never disrespect a guest that I have, because I promise you, you'll be going somewhere else. That's all I'm going to say. Please respect and appreciate my moderators, as I always ask, because they do a great job. And everybody else in this community respect each other, as well as the guests that I have on my panel, because, again, you'll be going bye-byes if you don't. Real quick here, SRB's in the house. Hemisphere, good to see you. Busy Cake, Seahawk, fan, good to see you all in here. All my mods. Busy Cake's busying around again, like I said. Brady B, Beach Babe, Megastar, all you guys in here. Thank you so much for joining us. I will get back to you guys here shortly. Too many of you guys in here for right now. that being said, without further ado, I would like to bring up Mr. Lee from Devil's Advocate, guys, and I'm super, super excited, as I hope all of you are as well. Welcome, Lee. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you? It's good to meet you on camera for the first time together. It's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. Long time coming, brother. Long time coming. I've been waiting for
For
this for
sure.
a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I enjoy everything you put out. And like I said, if anybody were to pop in here and make a statement that's negative, please ignore it. They will be bounced very quickly. So
yeah, I appreciate that. You had somebody rattle me right off the bat, like DA knows nothing about this
I
case.
saw
This
that.
guy sucks. And I'm like, really? That's how we're
Yeah.
gonna start?
No, we're not gonna do that. We don't do that in here ever.
That's funny. That's all good. That's all
I
good.
don't put up with that nor appreciate that, especially when I have a guest here like you. And I first time meeting you, I'm grateful to have you here. I've been trying to do this for a while.
Yeah.
I think, as I've stated, I've had Custody Queens, which I know you've joined them. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, Outcast has been here. Birdie, I've joined him as well. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I think we all should be working together for one and, resolve the truth in this stuff, especially with this case. So that is the whole point. Whether we all have different feelings, we do it different ways. It doesn't matter. We're all still looking for the truth at some point. So
yeah, for sure.
And
it's funny because I think you kind of run in. It's funny because you kind of run in a slightly different circle than I do, So it's been kind of cool because the two of us getting together, maybe some of my people that may not be familiar with you get to see you, and then some people that may have not see. So I think it's a good thing because I think we kind of slightly have different audiences, even though it's the same case. So this is great.
That's absolutely the point because it gets boring. I'm sure my people get tired of hearing my ugly voice going round and round in circles all the time, and you got to make it a little bit different here and there. And like I said, I love all the creators out here. I promote all you guys. I've even written, as you heard, some songs that have some of these other creators in it, pointing to the reason why we all do what we do.
Yeah.
So I love bringing us all together in some aspect, whether we look at it different ways or not. It doesn't matter. We all want truth at the end. We all want justice for the victims in the cases, and that's it.
Yeah.
So. It's great to have you here. Like I said, guys, please make sure to share this out. If nobody has yet gone over and checked out Devil's Advocate's channel, please do. You guys are missing out. He does a great job. I truly, truly enjoy it, as well as I do all the other creators we've been meeting lately and all that kind of stuff. It's great to see them all doing what they're doing. So come on, everybody, grab a seat. Again, share this out. Hit that like button if you will not, or if you have not, I'm sorry. Let's get into the show here. How long have you been? Let me start this off with this, if you don't mind, Lee. How long have you been been involved in true crime and stuff like that?
Oh my gosh, like true crime forever. It seems like, 12, 15 years ago, I was blogging about true crime, but, and that was, on the websites and stuff like that. I never really picked up, but I mean, I've always been obsessed with, good documentaries on true crime and stuff like that. Yeah. And I've written about it a little bit, but really as a YouTuber, and I think I started a TikTok about a year ago. And so I've only been doing this for about a year.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. And, obviously the case we're talking about, that the whole world's talking about, that none of us can let go of because it just doesn't make sense. The Idaho 4 case. What got you interested in that and involved in that one, if I can ask?
Well, I mean, I went to Pullman. I went to WSU a long time ago, many moons ago, and so I had been to Moscow. I'd been there because that's where you go. That's where you go if you're in Pullman. It's everybody goes over there. So when the case happened and some of that mainstream media narrative got out there that he must have been the guy because he came over from another college campus. I'm like, literally, these two campuses share the same, like they interchange freely. But anyways, I was casually interested in it when it first started. I was kind of on Facebook groups. And then when that unprecedented gag order kind of got into the case and it seemed like nobody was going to be allowed to talk about it, frankly, I lost interest, and I didn't have an audience that really cared at that point. So I just, because it was all Facebook, and I dropped off. And it wasn't until this last year when I started doing TikTok, and I actually started with Luigi Mangioni's case, the shooting in New York. But then I did a video about Idaho 4 and said, I'm still interested in this case, and it popped off, and I've been going hot and heavy ever since. So it's been about a year that I've been really heavily into it. But like I said, I touched it when I first started. But
Gotcha. That's awesome. And like I said, everything I've seen has been severely interesting to me that I follow with you. Like I said, even if it's not something that I personally feel, I want to know what you think, what your your outlook is in certain
Yeah,
aspects. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
mean, that's what it's all about, in my opinion. So I'm grateful that you've covered it. Are you covering anything else besides that? Are you looking at the Tyler Robinson situation, Charlie Kirk, or any of that other stuff as well?
Yeah, my channel, I have 5 cases I'm kind of following, 3 pretty heavily, which is again, Luigi Mangione in the shooting in New York against Brian Thompson. I am covering Charlie Kirk and the Tyler Robinson story. I'm covering Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann
Right.
as well, and then Idaho 4, and then I'm kind of marginally keeping an eye on Mickey Steins, the sheriff that shot the judge in the judge's chambers. That story I think is going to be enormous, so I'm kind of watching it. There's not a lot going on there, but those are my 5 cases, and I try to delve a little into all of them on a regular basis, which is a full-time job.
Oh my God, it is. It is. And that's just a little bit about me. I've been following true crime since I was a kid. I started off reading Encyclopedia Brown books and the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew crap. That's where my brain has been my whole life.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm a retired firefighter, EMS, first responder. I got hurt and couldn't do anything anymore. And so this was a hobby. And I was actually out here initially fighting in like drama communities, fighting against bullies that were bullying people online, trolls, whatever. And it just got old. My wife has said, why don't you do what you like to do? There's so many true crime channels out here, so on and so forth. And this was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I jumped into this true crime stuff about 4 years ago. I've been going pretty hard and heavy nonstop. I've covered Kylie Rodney, Summer Wells, the Gabby Petito, of course, Idaho 4, all the way up to, Charlie Kirk and all that stuff now as well. Rex Sherman. I've covered that, the basics on that. I've never really delved deep into it because I was so wrapped up with this and Summer's case and other stuff. So, but that's a little bit about me. I'm based out of Ohio, whether that matters or not. Crappy state, you know how that goes. But and I love this. I love the people. I love this. I love the other creators. I support as many creators as I can. I have tried to help many newer creators to kind of boost them, get them out there. I always throw your guys' links out whenever I can, so on and so forth. And I love the community itself, and I love true crime. It's one of them things. It is a full-time job for me as well. So
it's funny you mentioned the Hardy Boys. One of my prized possessions as a young man was my whole big collection of Hardy Boy mysteries. I had the whole like blue spine set of all that.
Yeah,
I loved that. That was a whole period for me as well.
I had the same set. I had a whole box set of those, everything. When I was a kid, I could strangle my mother because she sold all of my stuff when I moved out at a yard sale for almost near nothing. Those books are probably worth everything right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just killed me. She sold all my Star Wars stuff, all my G.I. Joes, Transformers, my books. And I'm like, what are you? I'm going to have kids one day. They may want this stuff, But yeah, that was amazing. That and my Encyclopedia Brown stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with those. That was more grade school stuff, but you could flip through the books, and then at the end, you could choose an ending to what the mystery was going to be, and so on and so forth. And those were amazing. That's really what kicked this off. And then when I was about 12 years old, I had a very unfortunate situation. A really very good close friend of mine was attacked. We were all in Cub Scouts together, Boy Scouts, whatever you want to call it. He was attacked and very badly assaulted. They did a lot of horrible things to him. 2 men did. He was 13 years old. I was 12. And the man that did this to him, the main person that did, they did things to him I'm not even going to talk about right now. And he's been on death row ever since I was 12. I'm 51. And he's still alive on death row. He's supposed to face this death penalty this coming year. So that is kind of where my whole frame of mind for justice has come from. You know what I mean? And it really has directed me in certain directions within this community. Of course, anything that comes with children and all that kind of stuff, I really push and fight for that. So, but yes, I do play with my toys. I'm a toy collector. I collect action figures. My community calls them dolls to mess with me, but I'm a big kid, period. And I do like to play with my toys per se.
Man, if we hadn't have beat the hell out of our Star Wars toys, those action figures back in the day, and then lost them, those are worth a lot of money. Like, I didn't realize what, of course, how could you? But for us, it was just toys, right? And we just beat the hell out of them, threw them in a bucket, and like, had we known.
Because I'm involved in the toy community because I collect toys, and they're we'd be rich right now if we had that.
Right.
Stuff. I'm telling you, we would.
Sad.
It's and that's why I said I could have strangled my mother, because she just sold everything, a whole big bucket full of Star Wars and GI Joe figures for $50, and I'm like, you could have bought a house with what we had here. What are you doing? So
oh yeah,
I don't know. It is what it is. It keeps me going. It keeps me young too. So welcome everybody again. Please hit that like button. Make sure you share this out. And again, I want to keep dropping Lee's link in here, guys. I want as many of you guys to hop on over there, subscribe to the channel if you can. Thank you, Meg. Check him out. Go back a little ways and check out the things he's done. He's done great stuff. I love it. And where did you come up with the name, if I can ask? Devil's Advocate, Lee. I love it. I love the name.
We just, like I said, when I first started blogging, I was doing it with a friend, and we were talking about, like, what could we do to what would we do? And he said, well, let's watch mainstream media news, and then we'll play devil's advocates with whatever story comes out. So we said, if there's ever a story that's super popular and it seems like the media has already made up their mind how it happened, let's play devil's advocates and say, what if it didn't happen that way? And it was more of just a thought exercise to have something to do. And then I got crazy lucky on the very first story I ever covered was the shooting in Aurora, Colorado in 2012 with James Holmes. Yeah. And I said, they said everybody saw the shooter, and he was in head to foot body armor with a face mask on and a shield you couldn't see. And I said, all I asked was, well, if you can't see the shooter, then how does anybody identify that that's the real shooter? And it popped off. It went nuts, and it turned into this crazy thing I never expected. So that's kind of how it started.
That's pretty awesome. I like it. I love the name, though. I love your graphics, your name, everything. It's very fitting. I love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Again, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us, guys. Please make sure to hit the like button. Looks like we got 82 peeps in here as of right now. 47 likes. I think we can do a little bit. Let's try to make that match. And make sure you guys show some love for the guest that we have today, Lee from Devil's Advocate. It's great to have him here. So, obviously, I wanted to get in here and jump into your head a little bit and break this case down today, get into your thoughts, feelings, opinions, any of it about what you think. I mean, we can start from the beginning if you don't mind. Do you have any questions for me before we go any further with any of that?
I guess, the similar thing. What got you super interested in Idaho 4 case? Like, what was the defining moment where you said, I got to follow that case?
Okay. Good question. So, obviously, when it first happened, it was a big deal. 4 people murdered. And you, by the way, you don't have to worry about saying YouTube words on my channel. I don't do that. I think it's ridiculous that we have to do that. So I say what I say. I get hit. It is what it is. It's ridiculous. You have to say unalived and all that weird shit. So 4 people murdered, young people. It was a big deal, obviously. So I started following it just as a standard case. I would do multiple cases. I would come out here and say, okay, this is what's new today. This is what happened yesterday, throughout the week, so on and so forth. So we followed it. And then I always typically, if I follow something newer, I try to do a follow-up with it later just to see what an outcome could be. And there wasn't one. And I started following it lightly, not real heavy, because at that point, I think I was still into Summer Wells pretty deep. And there was a couple other things that popped off. Callie Rodney was a big one for me as well. Deborah Collier, things like that. So I was doing all that. I used to run 5 to 6 cases at a time, kind of like what you're talking about. And I still do, but I don't do it heavy like this one. And so we followed it, and we were watching for it. It was odd. The big part of it to me was odd was the 8-hour delay.
Right.
I was like, what the hell is going on here? Why? So that was number one, what sparked my interest. Yeah. And then I just kind of followed it loosely for a while. And then when the PCA dropped, we covered it. I started reading the documents. We covered it. And right in the middle of reading through the PCA, we all froze and went, what the hell? It like, what the hell is this? And one, I've always believed it was way overwritten. That was a red flag right away. And then, so we're reading through these pieces and parts of this. Meanwhile, Brian had been arrested. I'm like, and in the very beginning, Lee, I won't lie to you, I was like, okay, you got your guy. That's great. You know, it's awesome. It was pretty quick. I'll say that much. But you know, reading through the PCA and little other things that are going on, the 8-hour delay. I was at that point then, once the PCA dropped and I started looking at this stuff, I think we were all kind of like, we got to go forward like full force with this one because it doesn't make any sense, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what locked me down with it. And as we went on, it just more and more and more, more red flags, more red flags, more red flags. And I'm like, I can't let this go. And then I did take a step back from it, other than the basics. I would do updates on it, basics. And I was covering other stuff. And then over the past 8 months, I'm going to say, I went right back head first into it real heavy because, again, my opinion is that they have the wrong guy. Okay. I at some point felt that there was no connection of him whatsoever. Is it plausible that he has something to do with it? Maybe. I don't really see it. And then all the other corrupted bullshit that surrounds this town, this area, and this case is why I'm here, like wholeheartedly here.
Yeah, and you know, and it's kind of funny because I'm like you in the sense that, like, from the very beginning on a lot of these cases, you're like, okay, so the guy did it, but I'm still gonna like look for those. I really believe in the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And I feel like our country forgets that a lot. So when I see people not getting the presumption of innocence, even if we think they're the bad guy, it's like, come on, you have to give the person the presumption. You can't call them a murderer from day one before they've ever stepped into a courtroom. It's a big pet peeve of mine. So
agreed. And that's it right there. Like they've basically taken the Constitution and wiped their ass with it, in my opinion. In this case, because we all sit here like, how did this happen? How does this work? And then, you know, these people were young, you know, whatever they were doing with their life, I don't care. They're young people that are starting their lives. They've never had the opportunity to start their life. Truly, they were right there at the gate and somebody took it from them. Like I've been saying, like Brian Koberger means it doesn't matter if he did it or he didn't do it. That's not my point. The lack of an investigation here, the corrupted ridiculousness of the case is what I'm still here talking about. That's why. So, and that is what has me rolling. And it seems to me that, you know, the families, it's so offset, in my opinion, with what they're doing. Of course, I have nothing but, you know, respect and what they've gone through is horrible, but there's things they're doing that I'm not comfortable with either. That's just me. You know, so
and I think you make a good point. Like, it's I say this all the time. I don't have a dog in the fight. If Koberger did it, then he did it. Or if any person in any case that I follow did it, that's not the point. I don't have a dog in the fight. What I do want to do is make sure that it's a fair trial and that constitutional rights are protected and that we don't, you don't break the law to get somebody breaking the law. You can't use the law against somebody and then break the law to get them, right? So that's a problem. And as far as the victim shaming thing goes, this is what bothers me. And I feel like people just miss the boat most of the time, which is that, let's assume for just 1 second that possibly Brian Koberger didn't do it. Then in order to, if you convict him, then that means you let the real killer get away with it. And do you think that's justice for the families, to let the real person who did it get away with it because you just wanted a conviction so badly? To me, it's disrespectful for those families to allow the real killer to walk. So people who say that we're victim shaming, it's like, I just want to get the truth. That's all. I don't give a rip who did it. Get the right person.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's 100%. We're on the same page with that. Same chapter, same book, 100% with that. And I can't understand how, you know, like you said, the people, the guilters, they call them whatever, we're called pro-burgers. I'm pro-truth. That's what my channel stands for, is pro-truth. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, the pro-burger thing, you can call me whatever you want. I don't care. It is what it is. I don't understand how people are not seeing the flags that we see. You know, there's so many of us, this community, your community, Birdie's community, Outcast community, the Queen's community. All of these people are seeing all these red flags. We have family members that don't even see them. I don't understand this. I don't understand people that don't see what we're seeing as to why we're doing what we're doing, why we're complaining
Yeah.
and pissing and moaning about whatever they're saying, it makes no sense to me. Are you ignoring it? That has to be it to me. You're just looking past this to look at this. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think we've both been blessed, because if you've had the queens on here, the custody queens, so that,
oh
but
yeah,
I've been really blessed. I've had like 4 attorneys on my show, and that's one of the things I've been trying to explain to people too, is like some of you act like I'm a YouTuber clickbaiting people for stuff, but you have to understand, professionals who do law for a living are saying this case stinks to high heaven. So
yes.
why is it you're not paying attention that professionals, not just crazy YouTubers making shit up, but professionals who are in law are like, yeah, that's a problem, So,
Agreed.
yeah.
That's my point. Yeah, I've definitely been blessed. The queens have joined us here. I have I've had more than one, but attorneys in my community here. I have a retired police officer in my community that's watching and looking at all these things and saying, no, this is not cool. Andrew Myers, somebody else that I'm trying to hook up with here soon too. Again, another attorney, and he works with an attorney. No, this is not right. Something's wrong. A lot of people that have a legal background. I come from a law enforcement family. Everybody on my father's side was in law enforcement. My mother's side was medical, so I took to the mother's side, obviously. But friends of mine, because of my family and stuff like that are law enforcement officers, are saying, yo, what's up with this case? It's crazy, and military people that are looking at this saying, hey, that looks like things that we've been trained to do, that I know, people like that. And it's like, if all these people are making the same statements on this, you can't be wrong. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I understand, Lee, that there's people that are uncomfortable with going a direction that they're not used to. Mainstream media, we both know that's a joke. If you, I guess, how can I say what I'm trying to say here? People that have a fear of difference. Okay. If the police say it happened, then that must be true. If the court says this is what it is, that must be true. It's okay to have your own thought. You don't have to follow the leader with everything. And that's what I think a lot of the issue is people have a fear of change or not following with what the norm is. Okay. And that's where these people come into play. I think that's just, again, my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, I've seen in jury pools, maybe you won't be surprised, but some people would be surprised how many people literally say, well, yeah, the guy is guilty. He wouldn't have been arrested if he wasn't guilty. And I'm just like, how the hell are you in the community when your attitude is, if you've been arrested, you must be guilty, because they don't arrest people who aren't guilty.
That's the point. That is the point. I ran a show probably almost 3 years ago at this point, where I pulled up how many people in the United States have been arrested, convicted, sent to death row, life in prison, that have nothing to do with what went on in their cases. They're absolutely innocent. And I showed it, and people are still like, well, that doesn't mean it. If they were arrested, it means that they did something wrong. You're right. Do you sit on your head? You know what I mean? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. There are so many people that are in prison right now for life, that are on death row or have been on death row, so on and so forth, that had nothing to do with the crimes they were accused of. Folks, that's a fact. It's not I'm guessing this thing. It's a fact. And so many people ignore it. It just blows my mind. So, speaking of juries, I guess we can start there if you don't mind. I personally feel, let me ask you how you look at this. Do you feel like the jury within the Idaho 4 case would have been tainted? Do you feel that it would have been a good jury per se within this case? Or I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say, but I think I did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like you're kind of asking two different questions, and I'll tell you why. So, yes, I think the jury pool was tainted. I think that it was tainted. Do I think it still could have been a good jury? Yes, because I honestly think, had this gone to trial, there would have been reasonable doubt for days. And if people had been allowed to, if they were allowed to hear it, that's the other question. Would Hitler have allowed them to hear the testimony? But had they been allowed to hear it, they would see reasonable doubt for days. So Yeah, it's a two-part question. Yeah, I think the jury pool was tainted, but I think it still had a fair chance at a fair trial had the jury been allowed to see the evidence, or the lack thereof of evidence is what I should really say, because it really stunning to me when Bill Thompson gave his summary of what they had, and he basically said, I can't put Koberger in the house. I can only put him near the house. I don't know how he picked the house. I don't know how he picked the victims. We don't know. We can't place him there. And I'm like, that's your case? You're going to go to a jury with, I can't place him in the house, and you're only, anyways, I could go on and on. But,
no, you're good. You're absolutely right. Last night we did a review show. I'm a commentary channel. So, I cover like your videos, other people's videos, go back through what you guys talk about, review it, discuss it, break it down, all that kind of stuff. But we looked at a couple videos yesterday, went through it. What the hell was the channel now? I'm trying to think. Idaho Full Revealed, broke that down. They do some interesting stuff for sure. And then I went back to the press conference that was put out after the sentencing hearing. And I pointed out these things. Just rewatching again still blows my mind. Everything, first and foremost, like you said, when Bill Thompson at the end of the sentencing hearing, he stands up and he basically reads the PCA and added a couple words to it and said, that's what we got. But yeah, okay, that's what you got. Whatever. It blows my mind. And watching last night, everything that they had this guy convicted on, supposedly, was nothing at all. I
got to tell you, like, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging about this. I was in that press conference after the sentencing. I was actually in the room because I had gone to the courtroom that day, and I was in the and I'll admit I was nervous as hell, but I was at the back of the room with all the reporters, and I raised my hand several times, and because I was stunned, I was dumbfounded that the trial's over. The trial's over now, right? And I was looking around like, are you going to tell us a single thing that you haven't already told us for 3 years? Like, the trial's over. So now let us know what we didn't know and answer some real tough questions. And I was stunned that they're literally still not telling us a single thing we didn't already know for 3 years, which was jack and shit. So I'm holding my hand like, I want to respectfully ask one question. Can you tell us anything today that we haven't already heard for 3 years? Anything? And I just wouldn't get nothing.
And they didn't call on you either. See,
no, it was really weird. I had one of the guys at the front kept looking at me, and he would purposely go to somebody to my left or my right. He would never acknowledge me, but he kept looking at me like he saw my hand, but he just flat out didn't recognize me. And so he was, in my opinion, that's another thing we do in this country. We softball questions from the media. So they take hands from the media outlets that are not going to ask difficult questions. So they weren't going to ask some stranger, let me take that mic.
Of course not. Yeah. And I honestly feel, I've said this to the community many a times, that when they have these press conferences, especially in this case, that there is in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I don't believe I am. I think there's a prequel to these press conferences where they kind of give certain people the ability to ask specific questions. Like I said last night, if there were certain questions like the questions you would have asked, they wouldn't have answered them. If you remember one of the first press conferences in the beginning of the case, when Chief Fry was up there doing his thing, Destiny Martin, who was the fake reporter, okay, she was a TikToker, who subsequently has passed on at this point, which I have questions about as well. She raised her hand. She asked two questions. She asked about the knife possibly coming from the ROTC program. And then she asked, have you ever thought about the fact that this could be a woman that does this? And Chief Fry is a mood ring, bro. You could look at it like if he was uncomfortable at all, he turned multiple shades, and he looked at her, stared at her, answered her questions, and then that was it. You could tell he was not happy with that. And I think that she wasn't supposed to be somebody that he was asking or he was answering questions for. That's my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And for sure. They take softball questions. And I feel like Fry was there when I was there and who's staring at me. I felt like, is that guy staring at me? Like every time I looked over to it was the jury box area where they had some of the law enforcement stuff that seated. And every time I looked over, Fry was staring right at me. And I'm like, why is that guy giving me the hard stare? Like, does he recognize me? And he's like, there's that asshole over there that's on YouTube.
And that's the thing. I think they know some of us and they will not talk to us. You know that. They will never talk to us. because they know we're going to go to the left instead of the right, and they don't want that. They can't have that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, but that whole press conference was a joke to me.
Yes.
As I was pointing out last night, the lead detective, which I've always said, I did a whole show on the fact that he's just a face. He's not the detective at all. That he did no investigating on this, nothing. Every question that was asked, he would look to Gilbertson. Can we answer that one, boss? Is that okay, Daddy? Can we do that? Can we do, you know what I mean? I mean,
yes.
It's just a joke. The whole thing is a joke. So I guess let me give the floor to you and go ahead and you take off with what your biggest issues are with this case, if you don't mind.
My biggest issues with the case, I mean, my biggest issues of the case is that it's 100% a circumstantial case.
Oh yeah.
I feel this is my gut feeling. They did some illegal things and violated the constitutional rights of Kohberger in order to get him. And they didn't want to have to show their work in trial, which is part of the reason why we have a plea deal, because they were terrified of it going to trial. They never wanted to show how they got his DNA evidence. Supposedly, Othram Labs was a joke. That whole thing was a joke. Yeah. They had Kohberger on. There's a reason why Ann Taylor, in my opinion, said that she was already hinting that they had planted evidence, because they knew who they wanted in the case long before Othram Labs developed the DNA to it. A lot of people think it happened the other way around. They think that they didn't know who it was until they developed the DNA, and then they knew it was Kohberger. That's not how it happened. They knew it was Kohberger, and then they developed the DNA after and got a match to Kohberger. That's a big difference, because that's what Ann Taylor is saying. You knew who you wanted for this. You couldn't place him in the house, and ultimately you place him with a speck of DNA so small you can't see it with the human eye, and that's your evidence. That's your whole evidence. And I feel like, I mean, I can't even list the number of problems. Of course, the 911 call, the 8-hour delay. Dylan and Bethany are not credible whatsoever. A grand jury who were convened in private. The inside word from James Patterson, the novelist, was he talked to people on the grand jury and they thought that the girls should be arrested, that their story didn't make sense and that they needed to be investigated and possibly arrested. That's no joke. That was at the best. That was at the best their star witness, Dylan, who literally told you, I'm not sure I dreamt the whole thing, can't tell the same story more than once in a row. That was going to be their star witness. And then they went, in my opinion, to the absurd thing of trying to bring Molly McMichaels in at the last minute to say, I saw Brian Kohberger there. The fuck she did. She did not see Brian Kohberger at the house. That was a complete lie. And they were going to put her on the stand and have her lie that she saw him there. The whole thing, like, I could go through the reasons why I believe these things, but the whole case stinks ass. Like, they had no case and they were trying to fabricate the evidence, place him at the scene with horseshit DNA that they didn't want to explain how they got. The whole case stinks. It's a massive circumstantial case. And lastly, the fact that it was harder for Ann Taylor to bring up the alternate suspects than it was to accuse Brian Kohberger in the first place. Like, literally, there was a higher standard for her to show that somebody else may have done it than it was to accuse Brian in the first place. And I think the alternative suspects in this list are numerous. They have better motives than just a guy who can't get laid from Pullman who decided that he had to go wipe out a house of, like, none of it makes sense. No. I could go on for hours on the problems I have with the case.
Yes. So we're on the same page in that aspect as well, then, because there's, like you just said, guys, there's so many things. You guys know this too. There's so many things, everything. Okay. I go back to, I can't remember. I think it was May 25th. I think it was May. Don't quote me on the date, but if you think back, Lee, it was one of the last hearings that was had with Triple J, I call him Judge. And they were talking about issues going on within the case, so on and so forth. Of course, it was one of the times that Billy Boy stood up and stomped his feet and threw his temper tantrum and turned purple and all that shit, you know, and you know, Ann sat there with a smirk on her face because it's a joke how this guy acts. And she looks at him and says, Your Honor, I can't remember the exact context. I will go back to the hearing at some point, though, and with the community and go over it. But she says, Your Honor, you have no idea how hard this has been and all of the issues that have happened within this case. And Judge looks at her and says, Nah, Miss Taylor, I do. I understand completely. And I feel for you. And he looked dead at her. And I was like,
wow.
You know, bro, you know what's going on. And the man, Lee, I'm sure you probably know this. When the venue went through, which I knew was going to happen, the change of venue thing went through. You know, I think a lot of us were like, oh, yay, good. There's a chance he's going to get a fair trial. No, not in this.
It got worse. Yeah.
It got worse, obviously. And Judge had the opportunity to follow the case to Ada County. He has the option, absolutely. The man packed his bags and ran for the fucking hills as soon as he could to get away from this because he knew, in my opinion, what the hell was going on. So
yeah.
And then we jump into the boat with their extra prosecutor, the judge. That's what I call him, because he absolutely was there to prosecute, Brian. He was not there to judge. He was not there to do anything that a judge would do. The man, in my opinion, has committed so much judicial misconduct. It's unbelievable. And nobody has even said a word about that. That's one of our topics we were talking about yesterday, big time, is how all these things have happened and nobody has said a damn word besides us, of course.
Yeah. I mean, he said so many prejudicial, the judge himself having the attitude of, well, they've got DNA, all right. I mean, he literally made it sound like, well, this case is an open and shut case before we even said, because they got DNA. DNA is DNA every day of the week and twice on Sunday, right? So he's literally prejudicing everybody from the very beginning that this is a sham trial. We shouldn't even be having it. You've got DNA that seals it. It doesn't seal it. That DNA evidence, I think, was obtained illegally. I think they did a lot of shady shit with the DNA. But yeah, he had a clear bias from the very beginning, and I don't know. I keep looking for the legal recourse. Can anybody have Hippler examined to see whether he ran a fair and impartial trial? I don't know who can levy that complaint against the judge, but I honestly don't believe that was a fair trial. I think Hippler had made up his mind and was prejudicing that case. The way he treated the prosecution versus how he treated the defense was ridiculous. You can see it every time the defense was talking. He'd get bored and he'd practically fall asleep. Like, oh my God, do I have to listen to you talking? Everything he did was prejudicial in this case.
100%. I mean, a judge, as I've said thousands of times to the community, they know a judge's job in a case such as this, or any case for that matter, is to protect the suspect, the defendant, and make sure that he's getting a fair trial, make sure that nothing like this is happening. And he did the exact opposite. He said things that a judge doesn't say. He throws with the alternate suspects things. He go, well, they weren't driving the car. It doesn't matter. Things like that. And, your client shouldn't have left his DNA at the scene. And at the very end, why would we believe anything he says? It's going to be lies, blah, 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 blah. Holy shit.
I have a small soapbox to get on, and I don't have the receipts. So I'm going to tell you that I think this is true, but I don't have the receipts.
No,
I believe the majority of judges are former prosecutors. And it bothers me that in a country that believes in the presumption of innocence, why wouldn't the majority of your judges be former defenders? Because if you're going to oversee a trial in which you're to presume a person's innocence until proven guilty, why have a judge that is a former prosecutor who already is going to be friendly towards the prosecution because that's what they did for a living, and they're the ones that's going to decide somebody's guilt? It seems like it should be the opposite.
I agree.
The majority of judges should come from defenders, not from prosecutors.
No, I fully agree with you. That's 100% accurate, my friend. It truly should be. It makes no sense. And you have this man, I call him Voldemort because that's who he reminds me of, but you have this man that sits up here and I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I'm happy to be here because I'm not, and then he does this shit and he's sitting there and he's sighing and he's sleeping and he's like, what the fuck are you doing here, dude? And
right?
Then, it's like, how did, now somebody told me, I don't have a receipt to prove this, but more than one person has come to me and said that there is when you have situations such as a venue change and all this stuff, that there's a panel of people, judges, whatever, that gets to pick the judge that's going to take the case over. My understanding is that Judge Hippler himself was part of the panel that chose the judge to be him. Okay. Now, I have no way to clarify that, but it's been said by many, many sources that was a fact. Well, if you didn't want to be here, then why did you choose yourself, sir? That's a conflict of interest to me to begin with. Like, I don't see how that's even legal, but everything else.
And if that's the case, I would say that the reason my skeptical mind would say, Hippler was put in as a fix, and maybe he didn't even want to do that. Maybe he didn't want to do that. He's like, you know what? I really don't want to be the guy that comes in and runs a shitty trial. But I don't know, because again, if he didn't want to do it, and yet he had, maybe he was pressured into, hey, we want you to take care of this trial. I mean, that sounds really conspiracy theory, right? But maybe they wanted him because they knew he would play ball. Maybe they had, to get really, maybe they had something on Hitler, and it's like, you're gonna play ball in this case because we've got something on you.
Yes, sir. That's that. In conspiracy theory or not, I don't care. I see this for what it is. People can disagree with me. It doesn't matter to me, because look at what it is. The man was there as a prosecutor. He was not a judge by no means whatsoever. You pick a guy that is presiding over medical malpractice cases beforehand, and so on and so forth. Not saying that he never covered regular cases, folks, but that's what he was doing prior to. And he was always in favor of the prosecution. The man had nothing to do with defending or protecting Brian's rights whatsoever in this case. At any time the defense would stand up and say a word, he shut it down. He shut it down. He interrupted everything she would say constantly. God bless Eliza Massets, because she had no fear of him. She did not care. It was obvious the two had history. They didn't care for each other. I loved it. I loved it because she would stand up against him. She didn't let him roll over her as he tried to do. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and it's unfortunate because I don't want to badmouth. I talked to the custody queens about this too, and I don't want to badmouth Ann Taylor, but she felt to me intimidated by Hitler. She was not articulate. She stumbled over her words. She backed down and was kind of like timid with things. And as even the custody queens was recently saying with me, your job is to push back on the judge and say, I'm sorry, judge, you're wrong on this case. Here's the law. Here's why you have to rule this way. And she didn't do that. She was kind of, for lack of a better word, a little soft, like, she just kind of like, okay, well, I think you're wrong, but maybe, I don't even know if she said he was wrong. She just disagreed with him once and then let him shut her down. I don't think she was as effective counsel as some other people would have been, but
I can agree with you. I noticed that as well. I think that's why a lot of times Masseth was presenting certain things. Also, it could be because she knew it wasn't going to get her anywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think she knew for a long time. I think maybe the first couple of hearings that they had in Ada County, she realized this is a joke. This is not going to go anything. I'm running full speed at a brick wall. You know what I'm saying? So it's just,
and a lot of people are saying that in your chat. Like I think she did. I think at some point she did know the game was fixed and she was never going to get a fair trial. And so at that point you would get defeated. You're just like, well, screw it. I'll do my best, but they're not going to listen to a thing we say.
I agree. I agree. Ann Taylor, sadly, her mother had passed, and I think it was 2 or 3 days she had buried her before the one hearing. You could tell she was a little softer at that hearing. She had been going through some stuff.
Yeah.
I think he knew that. I think he took advantage of her in certain situations as well. I think Ann is a great attorney. I love Ann Taylor. You can ask my community; they'll tell you I love her to death. I think she's amazing. I do agree, though. I think that she knew this was a lost cause. No matter what I say or do, no matter what I present, motion for this and that, the man's not going to do anything. So why am I? I have to do my job, but what's the point? And that's how I took her at some point.
I want to second that because, like I said, maybe it sounds like I was harsh on Ann Taylor. I will tell you this: there were several things Ann Taylor did that were extremely smart and extremely good.
Yeah.
One moment that I like to hit a lot is Ann Taylor laid amazing foundation with Payne on the stand, saying the first time you heard Brian Koberger's name was December 19th. Yes. So before December 19th, you'd never heard of him. No. So after the 19th, when you first heard of his name, like she hit it like 5 times and made him say she was setting him up for perjury because she can prove Moscow Police Department knew about Brian Koberger at least from December 5th. And she knew that. And I think it was masterful what she was doing. So she was really good. But I don't think she was the best oral presenter, but she knew what she was doing as far as laying down the foundation. And I think she had that stuff good.
No, agreed 100%. I truly do. I do agree with that because you could see it. You could see it for your own eyes, as you just explained, so on and so forth. But again, like for you and I, okay, if we're going out here to work on my riding mower or your riding mower, whatever, and the motor's blown in it, but you're going to go in there and change the spark plugs and change the fan blade and do this and do that and everything else, knowing that it's not going to start anyway, it's kind of like, what's the point? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I get, it's crazy, but I do feel in the back of my mind there is some sort of a strategy behind what has been going on. They have not withdrawn as his counsel. They haven't done anything like that. And I feel, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. But I feel that there's something coming somewhere down the road. I can't tell you what I think it is. I just, for whatever reason, I feel like that's coming. And if I'm wrong, so be it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on what you think about that?
Yeah, I think like people have been saying, I think Ann Taylor was creating a record. So it was clear she had alternative suspects. It's clear that she challenged the validity of the Othram Labs identification. It's clear she said they were violating Kohberger's constitutional rights by not allowing him to see how the DNA was developed against him. She made a lot of records, and while she may have been defeated, believing that they're never going to allow it to go to trial, it's all on record that it's not like she didn't ask these questions. And so if someone ever is able to reopen the case and say, hey, wait a minute, this was not a fair trial, and Ann Taylor was probing these things. It's on record that she was probing it.
Yes.
So that, I think that's the most important thing she did. And maybe to that point, maybe there is a long game at play. Maybe they know that this is going to get picked up at a later time, and they're going to, and all the work that she put down foundational about alternative suspects and Othram Labs, and even the hint that Balance from the FBI may have been involved in planting evidence and fingering Kohberger. She laid all that evidence down.
Yes.
Cy Ray is the bombshell in this case,
yes.
in my opinion. Cy Ray knows things about the timing advance records that she laid all the foundations for, and Hitler called Cy Ray a conspiracy theorist, which is the biggest joke on the face of the planet. The guy literally wrote the book on timing advance records and wrote the software on it. So she's got a lot of record created. Now the question is, can anything be done at this point?
Very, very, very huge point. Yeah, and I agree with you. Cy Ray is going to be now, and let me reiterate this because I've said this before. A lot of people think that Cy Ray is just going to come out and say, boom, here it is, and Brian's innocent. Right. That's not how that's going to work, folks.
Right.
And I need to reiterate and stress that. Cy will not come out, and he may even think that Brian's guilty himself, but his job is to prove the whole cast thing, guys, how that all truly happened, what went down. The man made a statement in his affidavit you can't walk past, okay, and said, 35 plus years experience, I've never in my life seen so much misinformation purposely put out to the world. This was not done on accident. And in my opinion, there's something much, much, much larger that's being covered up here. Period.
And if I remember, Cy Ray, I don't have the receipts, but I think I remember it pretty clearly. I believe Cy Ray has testified somewhat of 500 times in his career, always in support of the prosecution. For the first time in his entire career, he was coming to testify for a defense. That says something. And basically his statement, just like you said, he wasn't going to say necessarily Brian Kohberger didn't do it, but what he's going to say is, you're lying, and I know you're lying because I'm the expert, and I know you're lying, and I know how you lied, and I can prove it. And Hitler said, I don't care to hear it. And he's like, I can prove to you you're lying. You're not, what you're saying happened, you can't be saying those things. I know how it works. I wrote the software. I trained your people.
He created
it. So you're lying. Yeah.
You can't look at the creator of a situation and say, nope. Well, he's completely ignoring the 7 years and this and that. It's shut the hell up and sit down. That had no bearing on this. And then again, well, he has no way to prove this and that, but he does. We have a gentleman here that he can tell you told the story, and the man was sitting on Zoom, Lee. That's what killed me. He was sitting on Zoom, ready to say whatever he needed to say. No, we can't have that. These are people's jobs here that could be affected. Well, no shit. Okay. But we had to go right over that.
It's super interesting. It's super interesting to me to figure out why it is or how it is that Cy Ray is still gagged, because apparently Cy Ray is still gagged from talking about what he would have said. And so I'm waiting for that to get lifted. And again, a judge, things stay sealed until the judge unseals it. So maybe he'll never lift the gag order on Cy Ray, and Cy Ray will never be able to legally talk about it. I don't know.
And that's what I've been thinking myself, is that the fact that he has really started dragging his feet with part 3 of this unsealing, This is the part I believe that has at least some part of it something to do with size stuff. If he has, I'm sure he knows at some point he's going to have to unseal this, or figure out a way that he doesn't. I'll just put it that way. Okay. That's what I think is going to happen. He's either going to find a way to go around that completely so he doesn't have to unseal it because he knows the effect that it's going to have. Or when he does it, the whole thing's going to be redacted. It's going to look like files.
Here's what's funny, and I don't know if your audience in my audience knows all of the details about this, but here's the tricky part.
Yes.
At issue in the Cy-Ray issue is a 7-minute time gap that they essentially, the prosecution, according to Ann Taylor, lied or misled, however you want to use the word, because lie is a big word in legal terms. So misled people about when the cell phone lost communication. They're hiding 7 minutes. And the 7 minutes is important because essentially what I believe Cy-Ray was going to show was that Brian Kohberger's phone was going in an opposite direction when they said it was. And it's funny because even they tried to already lay down their argument for it. If it ever gets released, that yes, he was going the opposite direction. So what? You can always turn your car back around. So maybe he was going the opposite direction of Moscow, but that doesn't mean he couldn't have done a U-turn. And so they already kind of have acknowledged, yeah, you might be able to prove he was going in the opposite direction, but you can't prove he just didn't flip a Yui, which is why, to your point, Cy-Ray's not saying it's impossible that Kohberger couldn't have done it, because you're right, he could have flipped the Yui. But the point being is that you're lying and you're misleading people over the fact that maybe he was going the opposite direction. And the fact that you lied to people about that is a problem.
Yeah.
Problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the point. That's the point that Hitler knows if that comes out, this is going to turn upside down, and that cannot happen at this point. They're relying on him. I think that the prosecution is 100% relying on him to sit and hold this down with all 4 appendages. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it'll take one little thing like that to flip this on its head. And oh boy, guess what's going to happen at that point? You know what I mean? And I think the defense knows that too. So I think it's just a waiting game, and I hate to say it, because it's gross. Even the stuff that he's unsealing throughout these documents, I noticed that at some point here, I do believe that thanks to another creator that pointed out to me that when they're releasing these documents now and re-releasing these documents, they would always put that new tag there for something new that came out.
Yeah,
I think they stopped doing it because they don't want people being able to jump headfirst into this and find these documents now. Because there's people that are finding documents in here that have been re-released. It doesn't say that they're new, that like they're not known to be out there now. You have to go dig and look and find things. And I think that's another strategy that they're using. Go ahead. Sorry.
Do you mind if I get a little into the weeds about the PCA for a second?
Please do.
Because this is going back to your argument about if they lied about that, how much are they going to lie about, right? So this is what's going to happen if it ever went back to being reopened. Mm-hmm. During Ann Taylor's examination of the PCA, she got Payne in addition to admit that the PCA was a working document, that they never did originally see that the white Elantra suspect vehicle 1 was missing a front license plate. They wrote that into the PCA after they found out Brian Kohberger was the lead suspect and that his car didn't have a front license plate. And then they went back and they rewrote saying, we observed the car without a front license plate. And he admitted on the stand that originally they didn't have that. It was rewritten into it. And he said, hey, it wasn't done deceptively. It was a working document. We were constantly revising it. And I'm thinking to myself, again, you went to a magistrate telling a magistrate we want a warrant because we observed a car without a front license plate, and you admitted under oath that's a lie. You didn't observe the car didn't have a front license plate. You didn't even know about the front license plate issue until you were told about Kohberger. You follow what I'm saying? And so all of those things would lead to how many things did you lie about? And if you're going to lie about that, how can we trust you on any part of this investigation? You're lying about how you got to him. You're lying about how you did the DNA. You're lying about what direction the car was going. And you want us to just ignore all those lies and say, but everything else was a fair trial? Like at that point, you just have to say this was a sham. They were going after a guy and they had a huge raging, to get the guy, and it didn't matter about the facts.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely on point, my friend. I fully and totally agree with you. Absolutely 100%. And that's what it is, guys. Look at it for what it is. That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now what I want to, here's my question is if and when all this were to come out, okay, how how does the prosecution, the state, the judge, how do they come back from this? That's the question. We're not going to stay on this subject for too long, guys, but that's my question: is how the hell do you come back from this now? How do you stand yourself up, set yourself straight, and prove, because that's what they have to do, that no, that's not what we were doing, that we were on the up and up the whole time, so on and so forth. And I don't think they can do it, Lee. I don't think they'll be able to do it. In turn, now we have prosecutorial judicial misconduct, the corruption, the bullshit, the conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. It's there in our faces. They can't come back from that, in my opinion. And I don't see any way that they're going to be able to do that.
I'm a cynic, so the way I think these things usually work is Hitler will eventually retire. All the people who are important will retire, including Bill Thompson. Bill Thompson was supposed to retire at the end of this case, but I guess he decided to stay on a little bit longer.
Yeah.
The point being is that everyone will retire before this case is reopened. And then it gets reopened and it'll be like, hey, look, this guy didn't really get a fair trial. But all the people whose careers are at risk will already have retired. They've already got their pensions. They've already gone off to the end. So a decade from now, we'll reopen this case and we'll find it was a sham case. But the people who railroaded them will all be done. They'll all have been retired. Their careers will be intact. And that's the way that usually happens. We'll wait until they're all protected and they're all retired. And then we'll go, hey, let's go back and relook at that case. But nobody's going to be held accountable because they're all retired.
That's a great point. And exactly. That's how I could see that happening. Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because I've never actually put that into perspective like that and thought about it from that angle. So yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. He's supposed to, I could be wrong. I remember Hitler was semi-retired, I think, when he took this case on. I heard, I don't know if that's true. Judge retired. I mean, yeah. Thompson was supposed to, I think he's got till 28, and then his new term is up at that point if he doesn't take early retirement. It's all a joke. And then go back and look at this too, since you're talking about that kind of stuff. How many people have just ran from this situation? Chief Fry retired as sheriff, and then that didn't happen. So now he's working in Washington as a police chief somewhere else. Multiple police officers that were part of this community, this agency, disappeared. They run off, do this, do that. A couple of them disappeared within days of the murders, by the way. Things like that. And if that's not something to make people go, where'd they all go? What the hell's going on? Hell, even Pullman's police chief, I think, retired and went and did something else janky. Again, I still think that those two are bouncing off each other in some aspect within this case. There's some kind of a interconnected thing,
I agree. People are hiding. People are protecting their careers, and they're hiding before this hits the shit. The shit hits the fan, and people get fired or lose their pensions or lose their retirement plan. All that. They're protecting themselves, so they're getting out of Dodge and they're changing venues and they're or retiring so that they can get everything locked down before this hits the fan. And maybe it will never hit the fan. To be fair with you, I don't know what options we really have to reopen the case, because again, you have a plea deal, you have a guy saying I did it, and there's very few things that can be done at this point. So I don't know if it's going to get reopened, but I think everybody's running from it, like you said, because there's that fear that it'll get reopened, and then they don't want to be in the wrong place when it reopens.
That's a good point, and it's going to be funny to see, because I think Jennings, Trashley Jennings, is going to be the predecessor to Bill Thompson. I think that's the way this has been set up, and I would love to see how everybody's going to take that when that goes down. And if she steps away and disappears from becoming Lake Tahoe County prosecutor, that is going to tell its own story, in my opinion. Truly, I do believe that as well. So again, guys, I'm not trying to stick to one specific subject. I'm trying to get into some other stuff as well. Thank you, Contessa. Appreciate you. And again, thank you guys all so much for joining us, guys. It looks like we got 170 peeps in the house, 95 likes, guys. Please make sure to hit that like button as you come in. Make sure everybody has subscribed to Devil's Advocate, which is where our awesome guest Lee has his amazing channel out over there. If you haven't yet done it, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and like it up over there, guys. Please and thank you. And again, I want to thank Lee for joining us here today. I'm having a great time and enjoying this conversation so much, sir.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
So I guess let's get into, if you don't mind, the surviving roommates. This is a big topic for me because I can't stand either one of them. And a lot of people disagree with me, and I understand that, but I feel there's a lot of lying going on. I guess what I want to know is what are your thoughts on Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funk? Be honest, no holds barred here, bro, because it does. We have a lot of good bad feelings here, so don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Primarily, I think Bethany Funk has exculpatory information. I think Bethany Funk saw something or heard something that directly contradicts the official narrative, which is why she ran from the state right away, lawyered up, and hasn't really come back in an official capacity. She's terrified. That's why she wasn't there at the sentencing. She wasn't there at she's avoiding this like the plague, because I think Bethany Funk saw something or heard something that would completely destroy the Koberger did it or did it alone narrative. So that's point one. She's been relatively quiet. Dylan, you can't have any less of a credible witness than Dylan Mortensen. She can't remember what she saw. She doesn't remember the order that she saw things. Her story changes all the time. She was led by officers to give the description of the bushy eyebrows. There's so many things wrong with the story. And then the two girls not calling 911 for as long as they did, then saying they were sleeping. Then you find out after we've been told for years that they were sleeping, that no, they were actually texting people all day long, all night long, the whole thing. Their credibility is completely 100% shot. So, my gut tells me, and I don't like to get to the gut thing because I can't put receipts to it, but my gut tells me Dylan Mortensen knows what happened. I think she knows very much what happens. I think Dylan probably wasn't personally, I think Bethany probably wasn't in on it and is just terrified of Dylan and everyone who knows about it and is running from them and doesn't want anywhere near them. I think she's terrified of them. So I think Dylan's the key. I think she knows things. And I think she was involved in some way. And how, I've got a half a dozen theories on how she could be involved, but that's my gut feeling.
I agree. 100%. I think Dylan again, when I say this, I don't believe they had hands on like within the murders, but
yeah,
they both know way, way, way more than they have ever told. And I feel the same way with you, that Dylan absolutely had 100% knowledge and everything of the whole situation, and that maybe Bethany was drug into this unwanting, and then that's why I agree, that she took off running for the hills and didn't even turn her head once to look back, period. I fully agree with that, sir. I think there's a fear there 100% of Dylan's situation, who she's surrounded by, so on and so forth, and all that. I fully agree with you. Yes, sir. Welcome, Pappy. Good to see you, brother. And everybody else that has just joined us, thank you for joining us today. Again, we're being joined by Lee from Devil's Advocate. Great show, and I appreciate all of you guys being here with us. So, I fully agree about that. Do you think they were both there that night? That's a big topic of contention with a lot of people now. What are your thoughts on that?
I have mixed feelings about it. My initial response, and for the longest time, is yes, both girls were there. Although I'm beginning to wonder whether Bethany was or wasn't there the whole time, what time she left. She may have bailed out early when she realized what was happening. So there's a part of me that thinks Dylan was there the whole time. Bethany may have taken off when she realized what was happening or whatnot, something like that. But I can't prove any of that. Those are gut feelings. I know there's lots of talk about, Dylan and Bethany weren't even at the house, and that might explain some of the confusion. And I'm not ruling that out, but my gut tells me Dylan for sure was there, and probably Bethany was there. But Bethany, I think Dylan knew what was going on. I don't know that Bethany did know what was going on.
Sure. And I agree. I think if anybody, Bethany was the one that may have left at some point and came back. I think Dylan was there the whole time. I'm like you for the longest point. I've always thought they were both there, period. Okay. Do I believe that Bethany may have skipped out at some point for a period of time? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
We heard the story how she called Jenna and said, "Hey, come get me. There's a noise. I don't like it. I'm scared." That's what I'm talking about. It just makes me wonder. That's all I'm saying. But Dylan, no, I think she was there the whole time. That's just my feelings on the whole thing. And it's all insane to me, the whole point of that whole situation. Again, we were told from the beginning, Lee, they didn't hear nothing. I didn't know. I didn't hear anything. I saw bushy eyebrows and a guy clad in black, which we all knew was bullshit. None of that, I know you've seen all the interviews, none of that's been stated. So that was all completely fabricated by law enforcement, as I do believe most of her statement was.
Yeah.
And at that point, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you covering this up? What are you hiding? Why? So on and so forth. That's my thoughts.
I don't know if you've heard me say it, but my thinking is I think my gut tells me law enforcement knows what happened in the
Oh
house.
yeah.
So they were leading Dylan, basically saying, "Hey, don't worry, we got you. You're not going to be in trouble. Just say what we need you to say," kind of thing. The problem was that she's really bad at telling a story, so she can't tell the same story 2 times in a row the same
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
And so like I said, my gut tells me MPD knew what happened, and they were going to cover it up. But Dylan sucks at telling a story. And when I think there's also evidence that when you look at the way Idaho State Police handled the investigation, they didn't believe Dylan. Moscow Police Department seems to just buy anything Dylan says, hook, line, and sinker. But you see Idaho State Police, and literally they ask Dylan, "Is there something you're not telling us? Your story doesn't seem to make sense." Like, they're questioning her. MPD doesn't question her because I think MPD knows what happened. And so that's my thing. I don't know that Idaho State Police knew what happened, but I think MPD did know what happened.
Oh,
So that bothers me.
It does. It does with me as well. I think you're absolutely right. I think that ISP looked at her and went, nope, no, something's not right here. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. And I think Moscow PD, their job is to make sure that this is not investigated correctly, in my opinion. I'm telling you, I know it sounds ridiculous. That's what it looks like to me. You got a guy that is put on as a lead detective that is probably, in my opinion, the worst person you could have chosen for this, that knows nothing, in my opinion, to some extent, that has to look to others to get his answers. Like you said earlier, with Ann puts him on the stand and he's just like, da, 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 you know what I mean? And it's a joke. So I think that was done on purpose. And I think that the whole plan was when, like you said earlier, when the shit were to hit the fan, if it were, that he's going under the bus. That's my opinion. And his whole thing was, here, great job, Brett, in doing a bad job, basically. And here's a new job for you at the university. Here's your reward, blah, 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 so on and so forth. That's my opinion, Lee. Truly, honestly.
I agree. I totally agree. I think I 100% agree. He was, my gut tells me he was put in place to control the investigation, and then as soon as it was over, he moved on to something else because his job was done. He was promoted to put in charge to handle that. He's a soldier. He was put in charge to follow orders and do what he was told, which is take control of that situation and make sure it goes down a certain way.
Bingo. He's a yes man. That's what Brett Payne is a yes man. He's gonna agree, say yes, whatever he's got to do to make the boss happy. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why he has the job he has at the university now, because at that point, it'll give him some control over situational stuff to be able to keep things in order to go forward. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion again, but I believe that's where he's at, what he's doing and why.
And I don't like, calling people out and making enemies, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get a Christmas gift from Payne this year. So
neither one of us, quite a few of us. The man, in my opinion, is pathetic. It's sad. You took an oath to protect and serve, and you did everything opposite of that, in my opinion, within this community. And they look at him as though he's just an awesome, wonderful person and blah, 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 because nobody wants to pull the curtains back and see where the wizard's actually at that's running the whole show. You know what I mean? So, and it's kind of sad. Like, I mean, by the way, I wanted to give you some props on your drive through there out there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Great job, brother. Great job. Let me ask you about that. As you were there in that area, what kind of a feel did you get for the community and people and just the area in itself when you were there?
Again, being at the scene that you've seen a million times, that's got its own creepy feeling there. But it's no joke. I will tell you this. It's no joke. Everybody in Idaho is super nice. Like, everybody is really polite. They're really nice people for the most part that I ran into. I had one local that I talked to, and her opinion was, the one thing is that everyone in Moscow is 100% convinced Kohberger is the guy and has no questions. Like, nobody in Moscow wants to hear anything about alternative suspects or anything like that. which in itself is odd to me.
Yeah.
That the whole community is either terrified to talk about it or brainwashed or something. Because how is it that the rest of the nation sees problems in this case, but the people who live there are like, oh, we know that's what happened. Like, why are you so convinced? Is the community terrified of, a drug cartel, terrified of Aryan Knights? Are they terrified of NPD themselves? Like, it almost feels like everybody's terrified to do anything but go along with the narrative. Or is it just simple, like enough people say it that then if you're afraid, if you say a dissent, then you're going to look, be shunned for being part of the community. That so you just kind of, even if you do have reservations, you keep it on the down low because everybody else says you're guilty, so you're afraid to say something. I don't know, but
right. I remember 3 years ago, another channel that he's not out here anymore, Rory, he had a channel and he was boots on the ground in Moscow, walking, talking, doing all, or trying to, and had an opposite effect from people there at that point. And maybe it was because it was at that point, it was shortly thereafter, but they were like, we can't, in some instances, he was live talking to everyone like, well, we can't talk to you. We don't want to talk to you. Why are you here? Just things like that. And then, the reaction, some people were very aggressive with him, like, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you here. We know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. At one point, Rory went into the corner club, ordered a drink, went out on the back patio, sat down and opened up his laptop, and he was live talking to the communities and stuff. And a lot of us, like when he would be on the ground, a lot of us other channels would stream him to show what he was doing, so on and so forth. We were all kind of working together. And like at that point, I don't know if you ever saw that. He was approached by the owner of the club, and after he had been being watched by somebody, or like somebody was Wilson in him over the fence there, and kind of was pointing him out, this and that. The guy walked up and said, "You need to leave now." He's like, "What I do? I got a drink here. I'm just. We know what you're doing here, and you need to get the fuck out." Took his drink, dumped it out, walked into the door, and said, "Don't come back." And we were like, "Whoa."
Yeah,
that was an odd interaction. You know what I mean?
It's funny that you say that for a couple reasons. One, I don't talk about it much, but my wife and I went into the corner club. And one thing that I always believed is you can't really record inside of a bar because, if you catch people drinking and stuff like that, it's so I wasn't about to pull out a camera in there. But I will say, out of all the places I went, and I didn't talk about this much, out of all the places I went, when we walked into the corner club, it's a tiny place. It's really tiny, right? And everyone in that place turned and stared at me and my wife, and we felt instantly uncomfortable. We looked around and I was like, you know what? Let's go someplace else. And we just left because it was instantly uncomfortable. We were the center of attention. Everyone in the bar seemed to be staring at us. It was the weirdest. And it's the only place in Moscow where I had that experience. But we walked into the corner club and we were definitely the strangers and the outsiders, and everybody was staring at us.
And see, Rory said the same thing, Lee, when he went in there, that the whole bar, like at once, turned and went, Yeah. What are you doing here? They all stared at him. And he was like, "Whoa, hi, how you doing?" And it's just you're an outsider, okay?
Yeah.
And he said that he always got that feeling that they know you. They know that you're not part of them, that you're not one of them, and that you're from the outside in. And we've heard that statement made in other conversations about being an outsider from Moscow, so on and so forth. So it's pretty wild that you had that experience too, I thought.
And we went to the grub truck. We didn't have that experience at the grub truck. Nobody stared at us at the grub truck, but man, we went to that corner club and it was all eyes on us. And we were just like, wow. That's
crazy. Yeah, I think Joe, or whatever his name was from the grub truck, seems like a pretty decent guy, except for JLR. They didn't like JLR because JLR is very pushy. You know how that goes, and wouldn't let it go. So I get that too. But
oh my gosh. Someday, we won't do it right now, and I hate to tease it when I can't do it right now, but someday I got a story about JLR. I have a run-in from JLR back in the James Holmes days. So wow. I was stunned. I had a big run-in with JLR in some regards back in that case, and then I was like, oh my God, here I am bumping up against JLR again on the Idaho 4. I didn't even realize he was covering this case. I never had any interactions with him on this case, but it was weird seeing him on this case because I remember him from my way back on the James Holmes one, but
he did not have a good reception. He got attacked by the dude with the flags all over his truck. He got people, but the dude doesn't know how to interact with people. That's his problem, in my opinion.
Correct.
He doesn't have people skills. So he throws himself at people and just throws it out there. He doesn't slide in or ease in or try to make people comfortable. He just, boom, here we are. And that's why he gets his reactions, I think. So
correct.
Just saying.
Correct.
Anyway, moving on. So, let me check this here. I was trying to think of I'm a little disorganized. By the way, my apologies again. I had when I told you I had an emergency, my basement flooded last week and
Yeah.
flooded. Well, it happened again this morning. So I had to deal with that. That's why I was running late today. So my deepest apologies, sir.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
That was the emergency I had, and I screwed up my whole thing doing this. But questions wise, do you have any thoughts on who you believe or what you believe could be the true aspect as to involvement within the case, sir?
Of course, I have theories, and I hesitate to say the theories only because I don't have receipts, proof, and that kind of stuff like that. But
Sure.
one, I will. So one of my gut instincts from the very beginning, it's the first video I ever made on Idaho 4 on TikTok, was what if Brian Kohberger was just the getaway driver? There's a part of me that thinks that Kohberger was there that night, but that he didn't do it alone for sure. Not one person did all that.
No,
is my opinion. Not one person did all that in the amount of time that they said he did. And I'm not even 100% sure that Kohberger went in, but Kohberger may have been there. And so that then leads me to suspicious characters that everybody loses their mind about. When I say Brent Kopacka, I think Brent Kopacka is an obvious connection to the Kohbergers, and I think that you can't ignore that connection. So part of me think, and again, I hate to say this because it's no disrespect to anybody in the military, but Brent Kopacka had a certain set of skills. He was trained in knife fighting. He was a paratrooper. He went behind lines. He had PTSD. He had all of the requisite skills to do things like take out people's carotid arteries and kill in a very quick, efficient manner with a knife. Brian Kohberger did not. So to say that an unskilled person who you thought boxed at a gym for exercise is able to kill 4 people on 2 floors in 8 minutes and get out of the house with no blood is insane to me. So one theory is that, and I think there's a large possibility that it has to do with drugs. Either a couple of the people in the house had flushed some drugs or were working. And here's one of my biggest gut tells me somebody in the house was working with Moscow Police Department. This is back to my saying, I think Moscow knows exactly what happened. Somebody in the house was working with Moscow Police Department and was ratting out that house, or somebody in the house like Dylan and her boyfriend Quinn or something like that, and that they knew that drugs were being dealt at the house and they were dealing with Moscow Police. Moscow Police was protecting their informant inside the house, but the house got hit as a retaliation for ratting to the cops when they found out they had a snitch in the house, and that had more to do with people being murdered who were talking to the cops. And I think the cops were trying to hide their involvement because it's a huge embarrassment to the department. There was rumors, of course, that one of the officers was having an affair with Kaylee. So that would be a big, huge cover up if that was the case. So there's a million reasons to think that what happened that night, MPD knows what happened. It could have been a drug hit. It could have been a confidential informant that was hit. It could have been something else. But whatever the case is, they actually know what happened, and they've been trying to cover it up, their involvement, because it's an embarrassment to the university. It's an embarrassment to the town. It's an embarrassment to MPD.
Yes. Well, see, it's funny that what you said in the beginning when you said that we're in different aspects on this, but we're really not, though, Lee, because everything you just said, myself and quite a few people in this community are on the same path that you are, because truly, I agree with you. I do agree with you. I've even recently come upon a new thought theory that you just kind of threw out there a little bit about somebody working with MPD within the house, so on and so forth, or somebody doing something from that house maybe they weren't supposed to be doing. I think it's very possible that somebody that lived within that group was dealing possibly from the house. And that it was going to come out, and it was known that it was going to come out. I have issues with Dylan physically going to Kaylee and bringing her back. That's a big problem for me, because it goes, in my opinion, beyond the stupid dance they were going to. You could have called her but you went as far as to drive to her aunt's house and push her to come back, to the point where she was throwing it around, so on and so forth, and finally said, fine, I'll do it. I want to show Maddie my new car, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So
I frequently say, I believe that Dylan lured Kaylee back to the house. I think, and because of that, it makes me believe Kaylee was at least one, if not the target. She was lured back to the house because she needed to be there for the attack. And so whether that was the primary person who was being attacked and lured back for that or what, and again, another name I hate bringing up because people lose their damn minds, but the first person you always look at in a crime like this, which by the way, I believe MPD originally tipped their hat that they thought it was a crime of passion. Kaylee had received worse wounds than anybody else. She was stabbed more in the face. She had more personal wounds. Kaylee has every indication that whoever killed Kaylee had a personal relationship with her. Anytime you're investigating a crime of passion, you look for the ex-boyfriend, the ex-husband, number one. They ruled out Jack DeCour extremely early. And I realize everybody and their dog tells you it's consistent. So for that, I give the guy kudos. Everybody says Jack's a super nice guy and couldn't have been involved in it. But the number one person you need to look at in a crime of passion is the former boyfriend, the former ex-husband, the person who literally said, Kaylee's the love of my life and she's leaving me and taking my dog and moving out of the state. And I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen, would be the first motive that you would have. And he was ruled out extremely quickly.
So. Yes. And I agree with you. I have a big issue also with the amount of loyalty, for lack of better terms, and obsessiveness that the Goncalves family seems to have with this man. On top of even over the fact that their daughter her life was taken, and now like they give this guy a car to drive, and they seem to have been shoving him. See, I wonder too, Lee, little sidestep here, but it was known now, I guess it wasn't in the beginning, that Kaylee was kind of estranged from her family for a period of time. She wasn't really talking to them. She had blocked her siblings or something on social media. We've all been told, so on and so forth. I gotta wonder if they were shoving, based on the way they were shoving Jack DeCour down her throat, and if something else was going on, and she's like, no, stop, and she stayed away because of that situation, possibly. But I do agree with you. I think he was cleared way too early. I think there's issues with him. There was certain things found at his home. The man bothered me really badly. I'll tell you this. In the Nunez body cam video, when you see him come moping up the hill, just strolling along like it's another sunny day in Idaho, like nothing happened, until, of course, the actress runs up Dylan and throws the whole show out to him about what happened. He just stands there. Yeah. And then he goes in the back of the police car and just, I don't know what's going on. Can somebody tell me? Something's not right with it. I'm not saying that Jack did it, in my opinion. I'm saying something's not right with him. There's something out there.
Yes, and everything is off about that whole engagement. The way he approached the fact that he was the only one put in the back of a squad car. Yes, he wasn't under arrest. That's true. But why is he the only one that spends the entire time in the back of a squad car while all the other kids are freezing and have to get blankets under their feet because they're cold? But Jack's sitting in a warm, fuzzy, squad car the whole time. Oh, well, he was distraught. You see Jack, and he's not crying. He's not distraught in the thing. So I don't. Everything about that stinks to high heaven. And another thing I want to point out, like, again, about the weirdness about the Goncalves family, Howard Bloom, and I'm not saying Howard Bloom is a good investigator. Don't get me wrong. But Howard Bloom covered in his book that the Goncalveses made Jack DeCour roll up his sleeves and basically strip for them when they first saw him to prove that he didn't have marks on him. They did suspect. The family did suspect Jack DeCour originally. And they gave him the once-over. And I think it was clear Steve didn't believe Jack at first and thought he was involved. For obvious reasons. But something changed, and now they buy him a car, and they're defending him vehemently, saying, leave this guy alone, he had nothing to do with it. Something convinced them that he didn't, but that wasn't their first thought. Their first thought was the same as anybody who logically is looking at this. It's the ex-boyfriend who was jealous and pissed off and not handling it well. That was another lie. They tried to say that, Jack was handling it well, they were getting along great. No, there was evidence he was not handling it well. And so I don't know. Everything about that story stinks to high heaven. Again, I'm not saying Jack did it, because I personally give a lot of weight to how many people stand up for Jack and say the guy is a great guy and he would never have done that. So that says something to me. Like, everyone's going to bat for the guy. So I'm going to lay off a little bit, but I still have to tell you, as an investigator, my number one person would be Jack DeCour at the very beginning.
Oh, agreed. And from the beginning, I looked at him and said, him and Jack Showalter were the two people that I first were like,
for sure,
hammering down on, because it just didn't fit. And then when I watched the body cam video, I backed away from Jack DeCour because, well, everybody said he's a great guy. He couldn't have done this. He didn't this. And looking at him, which we all know you can't do that. Looking at him,
Yeah.
I can't imagine he could have done
Yeah.
it. Like Ethan, in my opinion, would have beat the hell out of him if he was trying to do that. But
Yeah.
it just makes me wonder, there's something wrong there, guys. I can't not say it. There's something not right at all.
And you need to factor this in when we're talking about. I hate to go too far on this, but when you're talking about whether Jack could or couldn't have done it, you're right. Ethan, maybe you could have destroyed, Jack in a fight kind of thing, right? A fair fight. But one, we don't know if he was intoxicated. We don't know the situation. Secondly, what people aren't factoring in is if Jack wanted Kaylee taken out, but didn't think he could do it, what's to say he didn't recruit people to help him?
Bingo.
So therefore, somebody who did know Jack, who did have the skills to do it, could have been the one that actually did it. And he could have even said, I want Kaylee to get it worse than anybody else because she betrayed me. So maybe Jack never went into the house, but that doesn't mean Jack could not have possibly involvement. He could have not hired somebody. He could have just had a friend that's willing to do it for him. And like, you know what? This bitch broke my heart. I want her taken out and I want her to suffer. And somebody's like, yeah, I can do that for you. I don't give a shit. So you don't even have to have him be the one who physically went to the house in order to be involved in it.
That's a great point, sir. That's a very good point, folks. That's another thought. I also had another one. I'm going to throw this by you real quick, just to get your opinion on this that I've talked about recently. Knowing the multiple phone calls that were made to Jack Decor that morning, I should say. And then the whole quote unquote 17-minute conversation, the Zoom call that happened between him and Kaylee, he has no idea of that, so on and so forth. All that stuff taken into effect. I wondered, because we all have multiple theories on this, trying to put this together because nothing makes sense. If the people that did this, that committed the crime, very possibly were trying to get Jack there that morning to put him at the scene, to implicate him in some aspect as part of the crime, and that could have been the people that were responsible for the crime doing that by calling, setting up the call. Maybe Kaylee was already gone, and they set up the Zoom call and just laid the phone there, whatever it was, so on and so forth, and walked away. It made me wonder: is that a possibility too? And this is my thought, but I just wonder what your thought would be on something like that.
It's an interesting thought, and I wouldn't say that it's crazy. Like, I think again, if you want to pin it on somebody else, why wouldn't you pin it on the ex-boyfriend kind of thing, right? So there's that option. I've always felt that Jack Decor lied about the 17-minute phone call. Jack Decor lied about not knowing that they were trying to call him all night long. That whole thing was bullshit. I think he had a conversation. I don't know how you get away with the 17-minute call that you don't know what happened there. Kind of like that whole thing stinks to high heaven. And I think it's more proof that Jack knows more than he's saying, and he knows exactly what happened that night. Whether or not he called it in or whether he knows what happened, whatever the case may be, I think he knows more than people are saying. But
no, sure, absolutely. I respect that. I respect that wholeheartedly, sir. Since I spoke a little bit about him real quick. What are your thoughts on Mr. Jack Showalter? You have any thoughts on him at all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it feels on the surface that he lied several times. I didn't even know Kaylee, and yet he's seen at the bar talking to Kaylee. Follows them out of the bar. The interaction between him and Maddie, they're going to get you for that, Maddie, something like that. Him following them in the first place, watching them from the everything about his behavior indicates that he was keeping an eye on their whereabouts for somebody. He wanted to make sure he knew where the girls went and where they were at all times, and so that, because in my gut feeling, he knows that the house is going to get hit. He knows the girls are going to get hit. So he needs to make sure Kaylee doesn't go home with somebody else that night. Because again, I hate to say this, but Kaylee had a reputation of going home with other guys. She had and so I think they were keeping an eye on Kaylee. They, meaning Showalter and others, were keeping an eye on Kaylee and making sure that she got home on time. That Eric Gower can confirm they got dropped off, that they're at the house, whatever. There's people who were watching to make sure when the kids were all back. Dylan probably as well, in my gut, making sure that everyone's back at the house now, so that and I think that I honestly think a call went in shortly after Dylan confirmed that everyone was back at the house, and that's when things went into motion. Again, if you go for the idea that Koberger could have been involved, that's when Koberger shortly after that takes off and leaves, maybe with Kopaka heading that direction, maybe because it's like, okay, it's on, everybody's home, and so things go into motion. And I think that, I know it sounds elaborate, but my gut tells me that that's what's kind of happening there.
It doesn't. It's not that elaborate. If you look at everything else within this case, Lee, that's nothing compared to what we've seen, in my opinion. Like I said, I am open to, and I think you have to have an open mind in this case. Let me put that out there. I'm open to just about anything short of somebody saying that they watched a UFO land in the fucking Banfield and little green men run in the house, do this, and come back out. You know what I mean? I'm short of that. I'm down to anything because nothing makes any damn sense here. So it's at that point, what option do we have other than to look at every possible angle within the circle, so on and so forth? Speaking of circle, that takes me to something else. I know I'm jumping all over the place. Please excuse my ADHD, but there's so much to talk about in a short time. I have not got to talk to you yet, so
no, it's great.
I'm going to do this again too, but just trying to throw everything at you that I'm thinking. In the very beginning, I'm sure you've seen all the interviews with the Goncalves family and many other people. We just touched on this yesterday, actually, that Christy Goncalves claims that she believed then, and I've stuck with that on her. Stuck to that statement with her. Jesus, sorry. When she said that she believed that this was somebody they knew, somebody that they were close to. She said that in the beginning. Well, yesterday we were going through and listening to Kara Northington's interview with Skeleton or Ashley Banfield. Sorry, I have names for everybody. Excuse me.
Sure.
And Kara said the same exact thing. She said the same thing, that I feel this was somebody that they were very close to, that they knew, that they were comfortable with. Christy said the same thing in the beginning. Well, that's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences, especially not in this case. And it made me wonder. Any thoughts on that by any means?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think my gut tells me there's two major theories I have are it was drug related in the sense that somebody was working with Moscow police and ratted somebody out, and that got out in the friend circle, and everybody knew that they were in deep shit. That's why Jack Showalter says they're going to get you for that, because they know that the gig is up. It's known now that you did, whether it was the flushing the drugs rumor that we heard, or which again, that was supposedly a substantial amount of drugs. Whatever the case may be, multiple people knew in their friend circle that they had fucked up and made the wrath of some powerful people, and they were going to, and something bad was going to happen. So I think it is people they knew and they ran with. They probably, somebody told on a friend, or betrayed somebody, and that's one of the highest reasons to kill somebody, right? Is betrayal. You ratted me out, you cheated me, you done me wrong, and I'm going to get you back. So that's what it feels like to me. And I think it's somebody in their circle that they know. Several people in their circle that they know. I don't think one person did that killing. No.
No, not at all. I agree with you, and I've stuck with that too. I've always believed that. When Christy said that, then I said, yeah, that makes sense to me. Somebody knew them, truly, in my opinion. I think it was somebody they were comfortable with. We had a guest here 3 years ago that joined us often. I'm sure you've heard of her. Her name is WSU Mom Kim. She came here a lot and gave a lot of information. A lot of people disregarded her back then. Well, a lot of stuff she said has come to fruition recently. So, you got to go back, and we've gone back and listened to things she said. And she said at some point, Lee, in the very beginning, her exact words and her belief is that they knew about this days or even week possibly before this all went down, that a lot of people knew this was going to happen. She proclaimed it as a possible like shakedown of sorts that went way, way bad, that went too far, whatever you want to call it. And that there was a lot of people that knew about it student wise before it happened. And then after the fact, a lot of people knew about it and knew who was involved in it. And, she says there's 3 to 4 people involved, a couple in the house, one outside, something like that were her words. I can't remember exact. And it always stuck with me as well. It always made me wonder. And now, like I said, a lot of the stuff she has said has come to be true, and it bothers me a lot. So,
and I think, I don't know if I made this clear, but I think personally, Moscow Police Department knew it was coming as well. I think Moscow Police Department knew it was coming, and so that's part of the reason why there's the cover up, is because they knew it was coming and they didn't stop it. They weren't able to stop it. It happened right under their nose. I think there was evidence of extra police escorts and surveillance in the area because they were keeping an eye on the house because they knew something was coming, and yet it happened anyways right under their nose. So then maybe it was an oh shit, like how the fuck how are we protecting people and we just let that happen right under our nose? That would have been an embarrassment for them to cover up. And my gut tells me that in some regards, Brian Koberger was involved in that circle. And here's the most logical. If Brent Kopacka had been recruited as one of the people to do the killings because he has a certain set of skills. And I don't mean to, I feel so bad for the Kopacka family because if the guy's innocent, we keep bringing up his name, but he had the skills, right? And I think he knew the Kobergers. I think he did. So if he knew the Kobergers, how unrealistic is this scenario? He's out there. He's gonna hit the house with some people, like maybe a Showalter, and he knows a guy from who's there in Pullman. That's his buddy that they know each other, and he's a criminology student, and they're friends. And he says, "Hey, if we're gonna do this, what would you do to get away with it?" And maybe they just simply got some advice from a guy like, well, I'm a criminologist. If I were to do it, I would do this, this, and this. He could have just been giving them some advice on, like, if I were going to commit a crime, here's how I do it and get away with it, kind of thing. So, in my regards, if Moscow Police Department or the FBI or whoever were watching the house and they knew a hit was coming, they may have already been tipped off that Kopacka and Koberger were communicating. And so here's what happened in my logical scenario. Kopacka ends up getting killed a month after the murders. And in their mind, they're like, well, we know Koberger was there. He may not have gone to the house, but we know he was there. So we got to place him there. We know he was there. So in their mind, they're thinking, well, we can't get Kopacka because Kopacka's dead, but we can get Koberger, and we know Koberger was there. And even if they know Koberger didn't go into the house, they don't care. They know he was there, and if they can make a strong enough case and convince America that he was the guy, they can pin it on him. So there's a part of me that thinks they knew he was there. They couldn't place him in the house. Even to the last minute, Bill Thompson says we can't place him in the house. They never could place him in the house, and so they were going to place him in the house any way they needed to. Fake DNA, a fake witness with Molly McMichael saying she saw them there. They were going to pull out every stop to place Koberger in the house because they knew fundamentally he was involved somehow, but they just couldn't put him in the house, and they were going to make it happen. So that's my gut telling me.
And your gut and my gut, we got the same gut, bud. I'm just telling you, I feel the same way. That makes sense to me. That does point to the fact when you got that special assignment that night where you got the unmarked police car and the plainclothes officers that are driving around, making multiple passes around that house area for whatever reason. Why if you're out patrolling this campus area looking for underage drinkers, then why are you not out patrolling? You're stuck right there that night, the whole night for the most part. They stayed by the band field. They kept showing back up by the fire hydrant. They kept
And remember, Ann Taylor was going after all the police officers' personal cell phone communications, their text messages and everything. And she specifically called out certain officers. That tells me Ann Taylor thought the same thing. The cops were in the neighborhood for a weird reason, and she wanted to have every single one of their private communications and their cell phones because she knew the cops weren't supposed to be there in the numbers that they were. I think the cops knew something was going down. They were watching the house. They could have even stopped the Banfield runners because they were like, hey, what the hell? Because they know something's going down. They know a hit's going down. So they're stopping where they're trying to contain the house. But maybe they fucked up and it went down anyways, right under their nose.
What it sounds like to me, and it makes perfect sense, sir. I mean, agreed. And going back to what you just said, she actually even called into question their training records, you guys. Law enforcement officers' training records. That tells, with what Lee just said, you add that to the pack there. She's looking into these people. She's looking into them for specific reasons. And I agree with you full-heartedly, sir. Truly, I do. And that's an amazing statement. Sorry about that. I do agree that I think Moscow and the prosecution knows who possibly did this. I think they have known for 3 years. And that's all part of this whole mix. And it, somewhere down the line, I said this the other day, somebody's going to slip. Somebody's going to screw up. Somebody's going to forget. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to get drunk, whatever it is. And they're going to say something, and that's going to open a door back up, I think, too. But That's just an opinion I have. But again, yeah, that's a big point there. I agree with you full-heartedly. What do you think? Let me ask you, what do you think about Miss Molly McMichaels? Any thoughts there?
I mean, again, I say it very bluntly. Molly did not see Brian Koberger at the house. That's a
No.
complete lie. And
Right.
she was going to lie on the stand because of what she got caught on camera saying, which was that I'm friends with Bill Thompson. She literally has a previous relationship with Bill Thompson on a previous case. She was friends with Bill Thompson. She admitted she was friends. And I think that's why they pulled back on her at the last minute before the thing, because they realized the gig was up and all the video footage started coming out, because us damn YouTubers kept resurfacing videos of Molly McMichaels with a police stop saying, yeah, I'm friends with Bill Thompson. They're like, huh, isn't that convenient? Your last minute star witness who's going to place Koberger at the scene saying, I saw him, has a personal relationship with the prosecutor. That looks suspicious as hell. So yeah, I think Molly was leaned on. And in fact, I think you can even see it in the way her demeanor when she's on camera. Yeah, now I have to go testify on that case in Idaho. Like she's kind of defeated because I think she's been leaned on. They made a deal. It's like, look, we're going to put you down for some drug charges, DUI, whatever the case may be, unless you just happen to say, maybe you saw Brian Koberger that night. Maybe you should search your memory banks really hard. And maybe you did see him, right? Because if you do, things will go a lot easier for you. And so she's like, well, shit, I got to testify now and say I saw Brian Koberger that night.
Right.
So,
and then she changes her story. And that's there's a couple of people that believe that the plea deal in effect came about possibly due to the fact that Molly changed her story in a very quick period of time, and that Ann didn't realize that she had changed her story, so on and so forth, was going forward with this plea deal that according to Steve Gonsalves, that we were lied to, and the prosecution got down on his hands and knees and begged for him to take this deal. I can believe that.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth, because they didn't have a case. That's all there is to it. And so there's a lot of people that believe that is maybe part of the reason why the plea deal came into effect, is because Molly had changed her story and didn't realize in the period of time that it took, or that it happened in, I'm sorry. And that's where this came into play, because she thought that was it. So, and I agree. Molly's a mess, guys. And we all know that the Gonsalves family, that when Steve made the statement back at a certain period of time that he was going to meet up with a CI at a hotel, and the FBI threatened him and said, if you do, you'll be arrested. Don't do that. That was Molly. They were pushing certain things with her to get her to say certain things, in my opinion. Why would a family of a victim have an involvement there? That's a very questionable thing to me, and a whole different story to get into, in my opinion. But very, very weird. I do agree. There's issues with Molly, in my opinion. There truly are. And I have a couple theories with her, Lee, that I feel that that's possible that Molly did have an involvement. And like I said, I have different angles that I look at with this all the time. That maybe she brought people there in her car. I think it was Rosie or Tesdale, one of the two, I can't remember, said in their report that they saw 3 or 4 people walking towards the 1122 house, noticed Molly's taillights in that back parking lot, but didn't really pay attention because they were looking for people carrying open containers. That was the thing, supposedly. And maybe she brought people there, that those people were the ones that went into the house, did whatever they did. She walks down the end of the road there. Everything's clear, guys. Go ahead and do what you're going to do. Something like that is another theory I've had too. So
did you hear me real quick on Molly? Have you ever heard me expand upon Molly's statement about delivering the DoorDash and how the GPS was telling her to park at the back of the house, and how that relates to Koberger?
I don't think so. No.
So this is an interesting thing to just touch on real quick.
Sure.
Molly indicated that when she was delivering DoorDash to the house, she had a hard time finding the front of the house.
Yeah.
And that the GPS took her to the back of the house, and that she got out because it was at the back of the house, and she walked down the road, which I just did on that foot walk, the same path that she would have walked to the front of the house, that she was walking around there. And so follow my logic. So if it's true that when you punch in 1122 King Road residence on the GPS, it's confused about the front of the house and takes one to the back of the house, then did Koberger simply get an address? go to this address. And he also is using GPS, and it routes him all over the place. He's trying to, all those things that you say of him flipping around trying to find the front of the house is because he's got the same problem Molly does. He can't find the house because GPS is not locating it correctly. He's only got an address. So did Koberger literally just go to an address? And you go, oh, well, his phone was off. Yeah, he could have, if he was there for nefarious reasons, let's say, meet me here to buy drugs, or the case may be, you turn off your own phone, you use another phone for your GPS, and you dial in the address. So it's possible Koberger had never been to that house, could have actually been driving the car potentially, and he's got the same problem Molly did. He's got an address only. He doesn't know the house. He's got an address, and he's driving around in circles trying to find the front of the house, and ends up at the back of the house, just like Molly said she did, because that's what happens when you punch in that address to a GPS.
That's very plausible, because in the very beginning, 3 years ago, we punched this into Google Maps, and it took us over to King Road to a house that the driveway aligns with the backyard of the 1122 house, which a lot of people either know or they don't, that before the additions were made to that house, that the back door was the front of the house at some point in time. And when they added the additions and flip-flopped some things around, tore down the garage, all that shit that they did, that was the front of the house at some point. And very possibly a driveway that led to that somewhere else. That could explain why it takes you to the King Road thing. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. It truly does. And it's very interesting. That's a very interesting thought. Very interesting. Now I don't know if that still exists when you punch it into GPS or Google or whatever the hell it is, but I do know that in the beginning, when we did that, the map took us over to King Road to the backyard to another address that is definitely not that house. So that makes
and it's funny because I failed miserably when I went there to Moscow, and I did a nighttime drive and I did a daytime drive, and I put it in when I didn't know where the house was. I put in the address and I drove to it. But the problem that I failed on is once I got in the neighborhood, I recognized everything, so I didn't need GPS anymore. So I stopped looking at what GPS was doing. I knew where I was. I recognized all the houses, right? So I'd never paid attention to where GPS would tell me to park for the house, because I just turned it off at that point. I'm like, I'm here. I know where I'm at. There's the house. So I didn't pay attention like I should have.
And it makes perfect sense. Like I said, we all know that area so well. Like we could probably find it in our sleep now. No, I get that full-heartedly. So moving on. Like I said, I'm just kind of watching chat as well. Do you have any thoughts about Hunter Johnson in particular?
Yeah, I have questions. I mean, one, God, I have so many questions, man.
I agree.
How does law enforcement come in with Hunter Johnson in the house with a steak knife and not tell him to get on his knees, drop the steak knife, whatever? How does he walk around unmolested by police officers in an unsecured crime scene and not suspect for a second that he could be one of the killers? Like, that in itself, major red flags. And again, my only answer to that is you don't ask questions you already know the answers to. Maybe they already knew he wasn't the killer because they already know what happened that night.
Bingo.
There's that. Hunter Johnson, it seems to me that he was in the 1118, I think, address, which is right beside 1112 with Emily that night. I mean, he was right beside the house. There's rumors that someone in the house said that they had left at 3:00 in the morning and didn't come back till 5 in the morning, which would be super weird. That would put them right during the killings. You can't tell me, even on the interview with Hunter Johnson and Emily, if I remember right, the Amazon interview that just came out just before they were going to seat the jury, they started talking about it was unusual. They were up really late that night. There was all kinds of weird shit that they were doing that was unusual that night. And I'm like, how is this not red flags to everyone? Like,
exactly.
Anyways.
Yes. I mean, we just talked about this a couple days ago here. The fact that they all went to bed at 8:00 that night, supposedly, and then woke up at 1:00 and stayed up till 3 or whatever the hell it was. Like, I don't stop. It doesn't make sense. Okay.
Right.
It pointed back to something going back to what we talked about a few minutes ago about how people knew something was going to go down. Okay. Including possibly Moscow, so on and so forth. And it seems to me, Lee, that there was a lot of people that distanced themselves from that situation that night. Hunter Johnson was always at that house, Lee. Always there. All the body cams we saw, you see Hunter's face in almost everything. He's always around them. He's always there. He's always part of something they're doing. But that night, he wasn't. Many people that are always around that situation. Jenna McClure basically lived at that house, she said in her interview. She wasn't there that night. Ashlyn Couch was supposed to stay there that night. She just so happened to have something happen and she wasn't there that night. Many people seem to have distanced themselves from that house that night, or those people, that circle. For it, I mean, it could be a coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidences. So it's
Yeah.
weird to me. It's very weird to me.
It is very weird to me. And Hunter Johnson was at the victim impact statement in the courtroom as well, and it seemed like he was there for support for Dylan, which makes you wonder, like, what's the relationship with Dylan and Hunter, and the whole thing just, man. Every step of this case gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah,
that there's stuff that's not being told, and everybody knows.
Agreed. And then I think it was the Amazon. Maybe there were so many of them.
Yeah,
maybe Dateline, where I think it was Emily. She admits that they lied about certain things about the 911 call situation. I mean, and nobody says a word. They just, okay, it's okay, no big deal. Here, let me smack your wrists and just don't do it again, okay? You know,
right.
I understand why you did it. I get it. You're a victim. No, you're not. Come on.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And then she makes statements like, "Well, we were being stalked and didn't know." Like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean you were being stalked? And
Stalked, yeah.
I mean, there's no stalking here, folks. You can't stalk the whole 23 things with Brian and this and that. Sarge, who comes over here all the time, so on and so forth, it was like, you can't stalk somebody driving by at 40 miles an hour. Just because you got him on this tower drive, being in this area 23 times, the man was had a life to live, so on and so forth. That's always a belief too. But yeah, craziness. Right. Oh, Ethan and Xana situation. We've never gotten a true to life timeline as to when they came home. In the conference in the beginning, they said 1:45. No, we know that's not true. There was a little powwow in Kaylee's bedroom at 2 a.m. that they weren't involved in, so they weren't home at 1:45, obviously. Any thoughts as to where they could have been or anything within that realm with those two?
I personally, I've avoided that like the plague, mostly because there's a lot of people who are really big on the murders happened outside the house and the bodies were brought back in. And usually Ethan and Xana are at the center of they were killed outside the house and brought back in.
Right.
And I just, we only have so many threads we can pull, and it's not one that I want to pull, because to me, the logistics of bringing in bodies from some other place right in front of everybody in that small neighborhood where everybody can see, it doesn't seem realistic to me. So I don't buy that they were killed somewhere else and brought back into the house. So because of that, I'm just going to say we don't know what time exactly they were there, but I don't think they were killed elsewhere and brought in, if that's what the question is. You know what I'm saying?
No, not at all. No, my thought is, with those two, is it possible? I have two different things with them, that very possibly they may have been home earlier on and they were in the room, door shut. Maybe Kaylee, Maddie didn't realize, whatever, and they had already been handled, and then somebody was hiding in the house after that and came at Kaylee and Maddie after the fact. So two different times possibly. Or somebody followed them home, came home with them that they knew in a specific situation, and then it turned ugly and boom. Those are two options.
To further go on to Xana and Ethan, I think there is a possibility, if you go with the logic that Xana Kernodle's mother had turned against somebody to put somebody away for a drug offense to get a lesser charge for herself. It's possible Xana was indeed a target of that house. And as an early reporter said, and I just covered this just recently, I resurfaced an old video, a reporter said, "We've been told that the killer came in for Xana and killed Xana and Ethan, and then went upstairs to kill Kaylee and Maddie." And well, they didn't say they came in to kill Xana. They said they were confronted by Xana and killed them. So the idea is, did the killer come in to actually kill Xana? Is there any story that says Kaylee came down in the commission of killing Xana because Xana was the target, and then got interrupted the killer, and the killer then took her upstairs? Does that explain Steve Gonzalez's comment? He didn't have to go up the stairs because the real target was down on the second floor. He didn't have to go to the third floor and kill somebody because the target was on the second floor. Was Steve told as well? So it leads to a lot of questions that I have to ask, like, was was Xana / Ethan, and I think my gut tells me Ethan is an afterthought because he wasn't even supposed to be there that night. So if they came for Xana and they just ran into Ethan, they would have to take care of Ethan as well because
Sure.
it was a surprise. So there's a part of me that says maybe Xana was the target. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's same thought. You know what I mean? Both of those, you can go, like I said, there's so many angles that you could look at with this, and they all make sense. They all make sense, except for the one that they've given us. That's the one that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the only one that makes no sense, is the one that they have given us. And like I've said, the fact that they've given us all these documents and reports and all this other stuff, as I look at it, I've said this time and time again, I guess there's a little bit of truth sprinkled into every lie. That's how it happened, in my opinion. Okay.
Yes.
And so you have to take bits and pieces. There's tiny nuggets here and there, so on and so forth. But I feel like, oh shit, I just lost my thing. Gotta love ADHD of the direction I was going. I feel like every time they give us something, you got to look at it opposite of what they're giving us, because they're not going to give us the truth, obviously.
Well, and I want to hit something else you just said, because this is I want to beat the hell out of this. You tell me out of the three scenarios, a boyfriend who lost the love of his life, and she was sleeping around with a lot of people in town. She was leaving him, going to Texas, taking their dog. Is that a good motive? Yes.
Sure is. Sure is.
Is somebody in the house is ratting and told on or flushed a bunch of drugs, or working with police to bust a drug ring and drugs going out of the house? Is that a motive for murder? Yes. Are those less on your scale as potential motives than a guy who couldn't get laid and may have seen a girl that he liked at a Greek restaurant and decided he had to have her, so he just randomly went one night and killed 4 out of 6 people in the house, leaving a couple of them alive? That, to you, to anyone in America, does that make more sense to you than an ex-boyfriend who has motive to kill, or a drug hit that makes motive to kill? The story that makes more sense to you is an incel who can't get laid and just had to go randomly to the house. Like, to me, it's like it defies common logic.
Agreed. You are absolutely correct, sir. And they think we're stupid. I think they underestimated when this all happened. They underestimated what has become the true crime community on YouTube and social media in itself. Okay.
Yeah.
Never thought about that when this was all happening. They never thought about that as they were creating this cover up, whatever you want to call it, so on and so forth, and never realized that, hey, there's smart people that are interested in this. There's attorneys and police officers and doctors and psychiatrists that are all watching everything we're doing. They'll never get it, but they never thought about that. They never thought about that that's a possibility. And here we sit. You know what I mean? So it's wild. It is wild.
I 100% agree with you. I don't think I don't think when they started, I think they covered this up, and I think they had no idea that it was going to be as big of a case as it was, and they underestimated the true crime community. And now once they were in for a penny, they were in for a pound, and they had to keep, like, it's like they're pissed off, like YouTubers, like, shit, these damn YouTubers won't shut the hell up. Like, this should have been an easy case to cover up. It should be a slam dunk, but assholes like you and me are out there running our mouth and questioning logic and going, man, that doesn't make any sense. And
damn it's all to hell, because we just want some truth, Lee.
Right.
You know what I mean? We just want, I feel like we deserve, I don't live there. You don't live there. I got, that I know of, but but it doesn't matter, because this could happen to anybody, anywhere, if it can happen like it did here. It's all I'm saying. So, it's just insane to me. And I know we haven't got into a lot of this stuff, but I've had you here for 2 hours, and I'm sure you have a life that you need to get into yourself. And I don't want to keep going right here, but I'd love to get back together with you again soon.
Yeah.
Whether I join you, you join me, whatever it is, but I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
Grateful that you have agreed to join us over here today. And like I said, I'm really, really hoping we can do this again soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. It was great getting to meet you. I like your vibe a lot. I've been, I was watching some videos to make sure I kind of knew what you were about, and I'm like, man, I like that guy's vibe. So I'm really glad that we got a chance to connect. We have some history in common with the whole Hardy Boys thing and
Yes,
the
yes.
Star Wars toys. Like you and I've got a similar path. So super cool to meet you. I would love to do it again. So thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Every time, anytime, sir. Again, I agree fully with you. And I'm grateful again that you thought enough to want to join us over here, Lee. We appreciate you very much. Again, everybody, please make sure, if you have not yet done it, that you make sure that you hop on over to Devil's Advocate, subscribe to Lee and the Devil's Advocate channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything he puts out, and hit the like button because he definitely deserves it. And we're not going anywhere yet, folks, but I'm going to go ahead and let Lee get on about his day. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see you and talk to you again very soon. It was great to meet you, and I'm looking forward to the next time. Thank you, sir.
You too. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you listening in. Bye.
Absolutely. Take care, brother. All right. Thank you again, Lee from Devil's Advocate, for joining us today. Very, very grateful and excited to have finally got to do something and meet him. And again, guys, we're kind of in the same book here, same chapter, same pages as to what we believe. And that was just the icing on the cake. We scraped the surface, and we'll get back together at some point and get it a little deeper in, depending on what goes on. And I appreciate everybody in the community being so respectful and treating him as we all should, as the guest that he was. Such a great guy. I really enjoy the conversation very much so. So, and I appreciate you guys very much for the respect you show. Great stuff. Great conversations as always, guys. And now what I will do, 1 minute here. I'll go ahead and pin our link here. If anybody would like to join up here, ask any questions, go forward with anything real quick before we end the show. The link is pinned. You're welcome to join me up here. We can discuss some of what we talked about here. If you have any input, any thoughts, feelings, opinions, any of that, please feel free to join me real quick, if you will. If you don't want to, that's fine. We can still discuss things. It is what it is. Yes, thank you so much, DA. We appreciate you very much. And thank you to my mods for doing what you did as well. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. For anybody that's going to stick around for a little while, feel free, guys. We got a little bit more we can do before we shut down for the day here. It's great to see all of you in here, as always. You guys are amazing. Good stuff, Micro. Yeah, a lot of you guys probably already do follow Lee over there, and that's awesome. I'm grateful to see that. Thank you, Claire. And guys, also, I wanted to say, too, while we're here, I was looking this morning. It may have changed. I'm going to look now. 10,996. We need 4 more subscribers, guys. 4. And we will hit that 11,000. So if you know anybody that might be interested in what we do over here, give him a little heads up. Say, hey, go check out that DAGO guy. He's an idiot, but he does have good conversations. And send him my way and have him jump into the community here if they will, and may help us hit that 11,000, folks, and get us on our way moving forward. I would appreciate that so very much. Shoot, what was I looking at here? 1 minute, everybody. Awesome stuff. And here comes Hemispheres in the house. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us.
What's going on, DAGO?
How you doing today, bud?
That was a good conversation with Devil's Advocate. I really do like him.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy his content. He's got a nice
I've
little panel that he got on his own show as well. So.
Oh, yeah. Lee's always got great stuff, guys. Like I said, he may have some different opinions in some certain things, but you know what? So do I. So does Birdie. So does Outcast, the Queen Custody Queens. A lot of us do. That doesn't mean anything.
I think for the most part, we all are on the same page in how we're looking at this as well. So that was good to see that, you know.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's also nice to know that I'm not the only one looking at Hunter side-eyed going, huh?
No, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. He, like he said, as I've said, a lot of questions, a whole lot of questions. You know what I mean? So it's what it is. It's what it is. Again, guys, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. If anybody wants to join us up here to discuss some things, catch up some things, talk about what we talked about today, any of it, please feel free. I always enjoy hearing your guys' voices and thoughts and feelings on everything we talk about. So come on down. Come on down. Thank you, Grace Kirk. Great to see all you guys in here today that I didn't get to talk to. I didn't get to call all of you. Let me do it real quick here. Redacted Meanies in the house. T Coon, welcome back to you, Gail. G74. Excuse me for 1 minute there, Hemi. Claire 74. Looks like some of you guys got your names back. In Stitches. Oh, God. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. That means we're getting snow, huh? Cripe. Nothing half-assed. Miss Fancy's in the house. Good to see you, dear. Megastar, of course. Pennywise, love your name. Love your name. Moonlit Baby, great to see you. Gail G74. 115576. Great to see you. I'm not going to throw your numbers out. I'll just call your name. Jacqueline Keeley, welcome back. Great to see you. Gail G, good to see you. Michelle F, always happy to have you in the house. Let's see. Who's that True Crime Cafe Dago guy? I don't know who that idiot is. Hydrant Has Eyes, good to see you. Amanda B, welcome to you. Micro Blue, welcome back. Sam Panther, great to see you. The Tomboys in the house today. SR, BBBBB, always happy to have you here with us. Hemisphere, of course, joining me up here. Grace Kirk, welcome back to you. Nothing half-assed. I just said hi to you, but I'm going to say it again because you're awesome, and thank you for being here. Jennifer Meineke, great to see you. Last 24's in the house. Mikey, good to have you here. Happy as Sunflower, great to see you. Carolyn Prestage, welcome back. Of course, Senior Wazowski. What's up, bud?
I was going to ask you if you heard about Lana. She was saying that she's going to start suing, or she's got a lawsuit against Moscow.
Yes, I did. Definitely here. We can talk about that for sure. Just give me 1 minute here. Interesting topic too. Anonymous Reckoning, good to see you. Senior Wazowski's in the house again. Hydrant Has Eyes. If I'm missing you, I promise I'm not trying to. I will catch up at some point. Wait a minute.
I don't know, Dago. Maybe you can reach out to her and get her on the show and have a.
Oh, Lana? Yeah, Lana has. Yeah, she's joined me before. We're actually talking about doing another show, and she's talking about doing a mock trial we're all going to do together. I think that'll be fun. Foxy Rose, welcome to you. Yeah, I have no problems having Lana here. I love Lana to death. Mittens for Kittens, good to see you. Walking in Tonka, welcome. Good to have you in the house as always. 1 minute here.
Well, I know Lana has spent a lot of money on this case, so
she has. She definitely has. Miss Kim, typically unique's in the house, or was. Good to see you, Kim. Hope you're having a great day.
And I think Jules is having the same problem as well. But I thought spending over $100K or $100,000 just for some video footage was outrageous.
I mean, they're trying, and Diane Draper, good to see you today as well. SRB, wouldn't she be better going after class action? I would think, but Lana knows her stuff with that. So, they have spent money, guys, and they're trying to shut us down. They don't want, they're trying to make it hard for us to be able to get some of this stuff, I think. So I figure that they think if they put a high price tag on this, we're not going to want it, but see, in some cases that hasn't happened. And there are people, from my understanding, that can get this stuff free if they live in this area I think. But I'm curious to see how that would work out, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? If they would still charge them an obscene price just because they don't want the information out. That's, again, my opinion. We'll have to see. We'll have to see for sure. Jules Land, a few others need to get together, compare notes on these FOIA payments. Yeah, I agree with that one too, SRB. That would make some sense. And expose it for what it is. Expose them for what they're doing, in my opinion. There's Miss Kim. Good to see you, dear.
Oh, if you could do that, that would be awesome to have Jules and Anna on the same panel, man. That would be, golly, man, that'd be chef kiss.
Yeah, Jules doesn't do like panels much anymore. She used to back in the day, but she don't. And I get it. There's a lot of ignorant assholes out here that'll make things hard and cause problems and stuff. And Jules just likes to do her own thing. She does a great job at it. Another channel I would hope that you guys are subscribed to if you have not yet, because Jules knows her shit. She does a great job. I appreciate and respect her very much. I always have. And I'd love to see those two get together. What I'd like to see truly would be like a round table of a few of us. If we can get us all together on one show, one panel discussing this, I think that would be amazing. I do. Myself, Jules, Lena, even Pav, Lee, a bunch of us. I think it would be amazing. Hey, Kat, good to see you, sis.
Well, Pav already let everybody know he don't really do the live thing.
He don't. I know.
Do the videos. So.
Yeah, I know that. I get it. Some of them don't. Some of them do. You know, another gentleman that I'm trying to hook up with here is, and hopefully I will soon, is Unfiltered Lucky. I would love to have him join us.
That would be a good one.
I like Lucky a lot. He's a great guy, amazing personality, and he's got a very interesting insight. And I'm working on hopefully trying to get something together with Andrew Myers. Definitely would love to have Andrew Myers join us here so that I can get pick his brain as an attorney. And hopefully we'll be joining the Custody Queens again here soon. I can't wait for that as well. I love those ladies. I think they do great stuff. And I just enjoyed the show greatly that we did. And we just, again, barely scratched the surface with that. And I had
to catch him live. I did see him on a replay back with an attorney that he does collaboration with all the time from California. And they was
Yoli
docs and having serious questions about it too. So it's good to know that we having lawyers around the country that's doing collaboration on the case. Is looking at this side-eyed like we all are. Having the same questions. It's good to see that.
Oh, 100%. And I'm looking at my notes here in the list that I have looked up. I just recently started following, as you guys know, I showed her yesterday, I think it was, another channel. I believe she does more TikTok than anything, but the channel is called Booking with B. I really like how she does things, and I would really like to reach out to her and get her, see if she would join us too. I think you guys would enjoy that as well. And I hope you guys do enjoy when I collaborate with other channels and creators. Like I said, in my opinion, we we're all heading in the same direction, looking for the same thing, which is truth. Okay. So working together, and yes, Bronx Tales. That's another one I have on my list right here too. I would love to get together with Logan. I think she does great stuff. I truly do. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. Let me see. You did, didn't you?
DAGO.
Yeah, I'm trying to get us all together. For those of us that are, you know, and just bouncing things off each other, in my opinion. I think it's great. I truly do. And at some point, it don't even have to be about this case. You know, if we can get together in other aspects about other cases, I think that would be awesome as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of good trials that's coming up. You know, he made mention a couple of them about the sheriff in what was it, Kentucky?
Letcher County. That's a big one for me too, you guys. If you guys don't know that, the Mickey Steins shooting the judge, Kevin Mullins, is a huge case for me. It's just in an idle right now. It's just dead right now. So as soon as that hits the books and it starts rolling, we're all over that, folks. I want to cover that trial, and I hope that they broadcast it live as well. I want to broadcast that. Everything about that case bothers me, and it does. There's a lot of parallels, in my opinion, with the Letcher County situation and the same stuff in Idaho, guys. It's absolute corruption at its best, and there's some very important people involved within that corrupted shit, to the point where they're talking about the local FBI office there had involvement in the sex ring that was going on within Letcher County that everybody was involved in. So that one is something that we will not be ignoring. I promise you that much. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
That's bad though, bro. Like that's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah.
it's come out that it is corrupted, obviously. It's just the details. The details is what we need to know. Thank you, Kim, very much. I appreciate it. Absolutely is what it's all about. Yeah, I'm definitely reaching out to Bronx Tales. I would love to have Bronx join me. I think she does a great job. I love the way she covers it, so on and so forth. So that's going to be a new one coming up. If she agrees to it, I can't wait either. Quite a few other ones, guys, that I'm looking forward to, I hope. Jen 7's in the house. Good to see you, Jen. Thank you for joining us. 4 more subscribers to hit 11K. And then on we go. So go get your grandma, your brother, your sister, the dog, the mailman. Grab the mailman, drag him in real quick. Say, hey, you see this guy? He just subscribed. Come on, hit that button, if you will. Hell, if you got a fish, you can put their name in. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
I'd like to see if we can get Senior up here on the panel. I haven't been on the panel with him yet.
Senior Wazowski. He joined me for a little bit. He was having technical issues then, but yeah, Senior Wazowski, I would always love to have him join me. I always like his insight into things and his feelings on what he has found. And again, being a retired police officer, he looks at this from that point of view, and then he goes digging. You know what I mean? So
he's always had good insight. I enjoy Senior.
Yeah, he's very good at what he does, and he's a great guy. I really appreciate him very much. And guys, again, if you have not subscribed to Senior's account, his channel yet, please do it. I don't know what you guys are waiting on. To be able to get the insight, the opinions, the thoughts, the feelings from a retired police officer that looks at this from the point of view of a police officer. What else could you ask for? Truly, honestly. Becky, good to see you. Good to have you in the house. Peaky, welcome to you. Good to see you as well. Lizzie 5717, thank you for joining me. Sure, Lizzie, absolutely. If you have that, please do, because I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't find it anywhere. So, here, guys, give me 1 second. Hemi, I'll be right back.
Well, I enjoyed this live with this collab with Devil's Advocate. It was nice to know he has the same thought pattern as we all do and see it for exactly how we all see this case. It's really, really messed up. So it's good to get vindication on that.
I can agree. Thank you, RJ. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I agree fully with you on that one too. And Lizzie, I am absolutely grateful if you have her email for sure. There's Senior Wazowski's link right there, guys. Make sure you jump over, subscribe. Thank you, Kat, for that. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything that Senior does. And make sure you like it because he definitely deserves it in that aspect for sure. It does. It is, Sam. Truly, I don't think we'll see another one that is this messed up, in my opinion. Well,
I think it's one of those deals where it's kind of like the Kentucky case is going to be kind of, not trying to compare it, but in the aspect of a case that has a lot of I can't think.
A lot of BS. Holy smoke!
Yeah, that. But I was trying to think of the other technical term that escaped my corruption.
Oh, yeah.
Corruption behind that case over there as well, as same as the Idaho 4. And the only thing different is it's kind of like what I was thinking about a month or so ago about Idaho 4. They were structured as a community to run a particular way. And a lot of things that, like cases like that happens is always being.
Hold on 1 second. I don't mean to interrupt you, bro, but folks, we did it. 11,004 subscribers. Thank you so very much. There's the number. There it is. You all did it. I appreciate you all beyond anything, guys. I thank you so much for helping us do that. You guys are amazing. God bless. Go ahead, Hemi. I didn't mean to interrupt you, bro.
No, it's just my humble opinion in what I'm seeing out of Moscow is they're a small town and they are designed to run a particular way, and they have been doing that for a very long time. So whenever something does happen, it's handled in a certain way. Well, when this all happened, everybody was in the world was looking at this, and it all happened and unfolded right in front of our eyes, and we're all like,
Yes.
"What y'all got going on over there?" So it was they. This case pretty much exposed Moscow out of, and it, in my humble opinion, the whole state pretty much. So I think a lot of things are coming into light that needs to come into light that has been happening for a very long time, and it needs to be seen. That's the only thing that changes can be. Only way change can happen is for it all to be seen.
Sure. That's fact. That is fact. Thank you, Cam. That is a fact, sir. Yes, sir. Again, I want to thank everybody here for helping us get to 11,000. You guys are amazing. You guys deserve a round of applause for yourselves, wholeheartedly. It means everything to me, you guys, and thank you so much for that. It's amazing. It truly is amazing. I sat in the 10,000s for a long time. I'm grateful to you guys more than you know, this whole community. It just means everything. So thank you for that. But yeah, everything you just said is absolute, in my opinion, Hemi. Truly it is. And hopefully it is coming to light, you know. I truly hope so. I truly hope so.
I think that's the only thing I can get out of it. Dago is they, like I said, they just been running the same way over and over and over, and then things business as usual, and that's the way they. That's their culture. That's how they do things.
Well, and that's I think a lot of people agree with you on that. That they're so used to doing it the way they have that you know if you get up and you go to the bathroom and you brush your teeth, you eat breakfast, and you go to work the same way every day. That's what you do. It is what it is. You know, so they're all used to that stuff. Whether it's right or wrong, at some point, it's got to be enough. It's got to be enough.
Well, again, when I think about plea deals, I think we talk. I think I'm pretty much rehashing the same things with you. Again, this is my opinion. When you look at plea deals taking over 90 to 95% of our cases in the United States,
right.
so none of them never see the jury. So with that, our right to a fair trial and being treated like we're innocent until proven guilty, well, all that's thrown out the door with a plea deal. Essentially, what, in my humble opinion, a plea deal does is take your right away from you.
Right.
So,
hang on one second.
so what's Chad's thinking about today? What y'all got going on? It's been very cloudy where I'm at. It's been very, very cold. SRB, where I'm at. Just had probably about 2 days worth of
Sorry,
rain.
guys. That was the boss lady calling in. I guess we're supposed to be getting some snow coming up here. I don't know.
Oh no!
Mad that I was saying to subscribe, left for a second, then it happened.
An inmate in Atlanta escaped the hospital, stole a gun, and a SUV is now on the run. Wow.
Oh yeah. Here. See what we got going on in the world. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Give me a second here. This is what you're talking about here, I take it. Looks pretty wild.
Now I've been looking at some old true crime videos, like FBI files and all that stuff, and checking that out.
Oh, yeah, that's always good stuff. Very interesting. So, yeah, this is going on right now, folks.
Some breaking news for you this morning. Police urgently searching for an inmate who escaped custody near downtown Atlanta. Police say he stole a car and then crashed it right here near Peachtree and Ralph McGill Boulevard. Let's get out to Dan Kennedy. Dan, what's the latest this morning?
Well, I can tell you we moved about a half mile away from where that car crash happened. We're now outside Centennial Olympic Park. We followed deputies here with the Rockdale County Sheriff's Department. And Jonathan, for the last 15 minutes or so, they've been scouring the park using flashlights to search the bushes to see if there's any sight of this man who escaped custody and is considered armed and dangerous. In fact, look right now, you can see they're bringing the canine out. So they got a dog out here, and looks like they're going to continue to search the park for any sign of Timothy Shane. Take a look at your screen. This is the man who was last seen in a blue hospital gown and barefoot. Police say that he escaped Grady Hospital under the custody of Rockdale County Sheriff's Department around 1:20 this morning. They say he stole a car, crashed the car not far away at Peachtree and Ivan Allen Boulevard Jr., and then stole a gun from that stolen car, according to deputies. So that's why they say he's considered armed and dangerous. They also say, in addition to that, he has a history of fleeing police and also felony gun and felony weapons charges as well. So back out here live outside Centennial Olympic Park, the search continues not just at this particular location. Again, you saw them pull the canine out, and it looks like they're going to try to search for any scent of this man. But the search continues across downtown Atlanta. Atlanta police also assisting. Fulton County Sheriff's Department also looking for this man. And they're asking you to be on the lookout as well. You know, Jonathan, it's not going to be too long from now. This place is going to be busy. It's Monday morning, the start of a new month, a new week here in downtown Atlanta. Yeah. As people go to work, they say, if you see this man, do not approach. Instead, call 911.
Yeah, because he could be armed. All right. We appreciate it, Dan. Keep us posted this morning. We'll be checking back with you as you get new information.
Well, that's what that's all about, I guess. Pretty wild. Always something going on, you guys. Always something going on. Hemi said he'd be back here shortly. Had to take care of his dog. Let's see. Good to see you, George Stewart. Starting my channel, not to compete. Get brain, get free. No, absolutely. Do your thing, George. Please do. I love seeing when people choose to start channels up. Dusty Day, good to see you. Whoa, that's wild. God, no corruption exists, huh? I love that. Now, let's see. Wait a minute here. Whoa. Mississippi Delta officers charged in drug trafficking bribery scheme. Surprise. Yeah, we don't have any corruption out here. I'm just saying. 14 cops, including 2 sheriffs and Mississippi drug. Jesus. Wow. Unreal, guys. It's always about the money. Wow. Look at this stuff real quick. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. This is 5 days ago. It listed it. Pretty wild. Hold on. Sorry.
Right now, the FBI making a major announcement in Oxford today about a Delta drug conspiracy takedown. Let's listen in.
At 5:42 a.m., the silence over the Mississippi Delta broke as federal agents stormed the local police building in a rapid breach. A single strike from the ram forced the front door open, and FBI and DEA teams pushed inside with the kind of precision usually seen in high-risk cartel takedowns. For a moment, the precinct looked less like a workplace and more like a battlefield corridor lit by flashing tactical beams. No one outside knew why federal forces would hit a police station at dawn. That answer would come only after the building was secured, and it would change the entire meaning of this raid. This wasn't a raid on criminals. This was a raid on the badge, and that single truth pushed the entire moment out of the realm of routine policing and into the territory of national security. What unfolded here was tied to a 3-year investigation known as Operation Shattered Shield. If you want military power to keep exposing operations like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel before we go deeper. Long before the federal engines rolled into town, the Mississippi Delta still moved at its usual slow pace. Mornings started with coffee at the same diner, the same pickup trucks outside the same convenience stores, and the same patrol cruisers circling the same streets. In a place like this, people often know the names of the officers who pull them over, and the badge tends to feel less like a symbol of power and more like a familiar part of the landscape. For years, most residents simply assumed that whatever fights were happening with drug traffickers were happening somewhere else, far away from quiet neighborhoods and small churches. That confidence began to weaken with details that seemed minor at first glance. One of the earliest warning signs came from inside the system itself, from evidence that
So Dusty said this is every day in Mississippi.
should have been locked away in a secure room turned up again on the street. Officers arrested suspects with cocaine that matched packaging from a previous seizure, as if the same drugs had somehow walked out of storage and back into circulation. For most people, it looked like coincidence. For a few,
So basically, they were taking this stuff off the streets and going back into the officers themselves were taking it out of evidence and reselling it on the streets. You gotta love that, guys. You gotta love it.
Wow.
Not surprised.
it felt like a red flag that nobody wanted to raise too quickly. At roughly the same time, a financial report moved across a desk with a signature that barely looked real. The numbers involved were not spectacular, but the pattern was strange. Fuel reimbursements for patrol vehicles that had rarely left their lot, overtime tied to operations that nobody could clearly remember, and maintenance charges that did not fit the age or condition of the cars. On paper, it was just another stack of forms, the kind that usually passes through without argument. In practice, it became one more thread in a knot that was slowly tightening around the precinct. The streets also began to show a different kind of smoothness. Certain traffic stops that should have been routine seemed to glide past critical pressure points. Couriers with known links to drug corridors moved through back roads with almost no interference. Locals noticed that some cars were pulled over again and again, while others seemed invisible, even when they appeared in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was not dramatic enough to make headlines, but it was enough to make residents quietly wonder whether the rules were the same for everyone.
Exactly, Ken.
The moment that turned suspicion into
Welcome, AR. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you today, bud.
something harder came with a loud physical break in the routine. During an internal inspection triggered by those financial anomalies, investigators opened a sealed container that had no business being where it was. Inside, they found cocaine that, according to records, should have been sitting untouched in the evidence room, waiting for a court date. The seal, the labeling, and the quantity all pointed to a previous case that had supposedly been closed and archived. That discovery functioned like an explosion in slow motion, because it showed that criminal product was not just slipping past the badge, it was moving through it. From that point, the problem could no longer be explained as poor paperwork or sloppy storage. A simple administrative mistake cannot move narcotics out of a locked room, place them into new hands, and still leave the official logs looking clean. The pattern began to look less like incompetence and more like cooperation. Someone inside the system was giving silent.
Makes you wonder how this could possibly relate within the Idaho 4 situation, possibly. Just saying.
Permission for cartel product to flow. And that meant the shield that was supposed to defend the community had been turned into part of the supply chain. Word of these changes did not spread through formal announcements. It traveled through small conversations at gas pumps, at church steps, and in the...
By the way, typically, Kim or Nothing Half Assed, you guys are welcome to join me as well if you feel like it. If not, no worries. Just letting you know it's open. Anybody's welcome to join us up here. AR, if you want to join us, you're welcome to do that as well. Either one of you, any of you, please feel free.
Line at the grocery store.
We've been praying. We know full well that there's a lot of corruption.
People did not always know the details, but they sensed that operations were being guided by something other than public safety.
So that's what's going on in that region over there, guys. So again, like I said, it happens many places, not just Mississippi, not just Idaho, not just Letcher County, folks. Just saying. This is our world today. And it's a problem. It's a big problem, and it has to stop happening. And the more people that talk about it, the more people that put it out, the more people that bring it to the world's eye, I think can help do that. I think that's my opinion, of course, but maybe not. I don't know. I just feel that it could. That's why I talk about these things. And again, I've been following the Letcher County thing pretty heavy and hot, and there's nothing. I think they're awaiting the trial. They're dealing with some background stuff with that as well, so on and so forth. So, have you heard of the... Yes, I have. And I saw that too. That's another one I've been following in the background, Pappy. Let's see here, guys. And it's interesting that the mother is not cooperating, I would think, too. Hold on a minute. Yeah, this is the one where the mother claims that she left. Her name's Melody Buzzard. She left her with a couple that she met at the zoo. Did you just leave your kids with people you just meet? Where'd you go, brother? Oh, okay. No problem, buddy. No problem. Thank you for joining me, Hemi. Appreciate you. And it looks like Josie just dropped 5 new memberships. Hold on a minute here. Looks like George Stewart got one. Don Caps 5172. Chris 6011. Miss Boggs, C Recon. Feminem. We haven't seen Fem in a while. All received new memberships. Welcome to the sauce, guys. Grateful to have you here. And Josie, thank you so much for that, dear. We appreciate you very much. Very generous. Always happy to have you in the house, and always appreciate when you guys do stuff like that. It's amazing. AR says, Dago, appreciate the offer. I'm a retired true crime podcaster, just relaxing and supporting. Thank you, though. Absolutely, brother. Anytime. My door's always open, and you know you're always welcome to join me if you have any thoughts, feelings on anything. Thanks, I'd love to, but I've got too much stuff. Oh, no problem. Nobody wants to. I must smelt it. Do I stink today? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe I smell funny. It is what it is. I'll have to ask Lee if I smelled funny when he was up here. Hey, Siggy, good to see you. Yeah, That's 100% what it was saying, basically, Pappy. It's a crazy story. I'm just teasing, guys. No, I understand. People got real life going on. 100%. Is my fire too hot? That could be it too. And it's not burning. My head's on fire, but it's not burning. Come on in, everybody. Good to see you today. So, all right. Well, I think, guys, that's going to do it for today for this show. I might come back out here later on. If I have the option, though, I would love to talk with my mods after the fact, if I can. If you have just a few minutes to join me after the show. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you. And again, I'm grateful to have you guys here for meeting Lee from Devil's Advocate for the first time today here on our channel. I appreciate him very, very much. Again, I hope you guys have all subscribed to his channel over there. Checked it out. Hit that like button as well. And I'm looking forward to possibly meeting up with him again. As I am with these other shows coming down the path, guys. I'm super excited about that. Kristen from Custody Queen said that they wanted me to join them on their panel, and I'm super excited about that too. Whenever that happens, I can't wait for that. And I did talk to Outcast, and he did say that he would like to join us here for a full show. I'm looking forward to that. I just don't know exactly when we're going to do it. I need to get back with him and set that up. So that's another one I'm looking forward to for real. And thank you guys for helping us reach 11,000 today. You guys are amazing. I could not do this without you, nor my crew. I love my blue crew. I truly do. And I'm going to sing to you because I'm rhyming left and right. I don't know why. Anyway, guys, don't forget to love yourselves, love each other. Don't change a thing. You guys are the beautiful people, and you are so amazing. Every one of you. I have nothing but love for each and every single one of you guys that are part of this community and part of this family. I hope you know that. I'm hoping that maybe later I can jump back in here with you guys again and discuss some stuff. We'll see what it is. I am a nerd. I know. Thank you, Fizzy. But I do love you guys to death. I truly do. Nothing but going forward now. We hit 11,000. On we go. And I thank you all so much for that. All you awesome meatballs. I'm a dork. I know. It's okay. I'll be a dork. I collect toys. What do you expect from me? What do you expect? And welcome to all the new peeps that I've seen joining us, by the way. I want to tell you guys how excited I am to have you jumping into our community here, becoming part of our family. That means a lot to me as well. I'm excited about the future. Super excited. Again, if I can get my amazing and beautiful mods to join me for a meeting after the fact, I would really appreciate it if you have the time. And if not, I understand. You can't do it. Either that or I smell, like I said. Other than that, guys, please have an amazing day. If I don't see you, I'll see you somewhere. Again, nothing but love, folks. Have a great one. I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye, y'all.
The coffee's cold, the final step.